The City Council is the sole legislative body of the City of Framingham and is therefore responsible for passing city ordinances. The City Council is made up of 11 members who exercise the legislative powers of Framingham. 2 of these members are known as councilors at large and 9 members are known as district councilors. The City Council serves as a link between the citizens of Framingham and their municipal government. Councilors help constituents by connecting them to resources, services, and city departments, and also serve as advocates for all Framingham residents. The following City Council coverage is brought to you by the Government Channel, a service of the City of Framingham.
And welcome to the City Council meeting for February 3rd, 2026. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical problems with Zoom, which is particularly important because we have 3 councilors on Zoom tonight. So Councilor Alexander, Councilor Bryant, and Councilor Long are joining us via Zoom. Sorry to interrupt your social time, Councilors Bryant, Alexander, Long. So, first item of business tonight is the minutes. So I would take a motion on the
Motion to approve.
Second.
minutes from 12:16, 12:30, and 1:26. So moved by Ms. Leon-Bruno, seconded by Mr. Cannon. Any further discussion?
Quick question, is this all together?
Yes.
Well, because Councilor Stefanini and I can't vote on 2 of them.
Well, you can vote on it, but you don't have to vote on it. But I mean, so
Fine.
it's up to you. I mean, so you are allowed to vote on
You want to do them individually?
Okay.
Well, they can abstain.
it. Or
There's a motion on the floor, Mr. Chair.
yes, right. Thank you, Mr. Motion on the floor for all 3. So we'll start. Ms. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Oh, yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Ms. Mal,
Yes.
Ms. Feeney,
Abstain?
Mr. Stephanie,
Abstain.
myself, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno, Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
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 Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is the proclamation. Proclamation, who is reading the proclamation? Ms.
That would be
Feeney?
me.
Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. History is coming to Framingham on Sunday. It is the 250th anniversary of Henry Knox' noble train of artillery, and it is coming to beautiful District 3 on the Framingham Center Common
Sure it's District
on
3?
Sunday. It is District 3.
Inside
Village
District
Hall is in District 6.
Okay, thank you.
So we get to
Curious.
share.
Thank you.
Councilor Ottaviani?
I like to share.
I know. So this is a great moment for Framingham to reflect on our on our part in the Revolution, and it's also, I just want to say, a good economic development opportunity as well, because we're going to get a lot of visitors, and I hope that they enjoy the beauty of District 6 and District 3 at our different restaurants and such. So, whereas in the winter of 1775-1776, amidst the stalemate of the siege of Boston, Colonel Henry Knox, a Boston bookseller turned artillery officer, proposed a daring plan to retrieve captured British cannons from Fort Ticonderoga in New York and transport them some 300 miles to aid General George Washington's Continental Army. And whereas, displaying extraordinary ingenuity and perseverance, Henry Knox led a noble train of artillery, consisting of 59 cannons and mortars, utility sleds pulled by teams of oxen and horses to navigate treacherous winter terrain, frozen rivers, and the Berkshire Mountains. And whereas this heroic expedition passed directly through the town of Framingham in January 1776, where residents witnessed the procession of heavy weaponry and provided aid to the weary teamsters, cementing our community's place along the historic Knox Trail. And whereas the successful delivery of these armaments allowed General Washington to fortify Dorchester Heights in March 1776, a decisive strategic maneuver that forced the British evacuation of Boston on March 17, 1776, marking the first major victory for the American cause in the Revolutionary War. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 250th anniversary of this pivotal event, which is being commemorated with large-scale celebrations and historical reenactments across New York and Massachusetts, organized by dedicated groups including Revolution 250 and America 250. And whereas these commemorative events running from the kickoff at Fort Ticonderoga, New York on December 5th, 2025, through Evacuation Day on March 17th, 2026 in South Boston, serve to educate the public about Knox and his incredible journey. Henry Knox and his noble train will process in Framingham Center, followed by an event in Village Hall on Sunday, February 8th from 2 to 4. And now, therefore, the mayor and the city council of the city of Framingham do hereby proclaim February 8th, 2026 as Henry Knox Noble Train of Artillery 250th anniversary in the city of Framingham, encouraging all residents to explore the history of the Knox Trail and participate in the celebrations honoring this turning point in our nation's history. Signed by the mayor and the city council.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to receive the
Anna
proclamation?
Tucker's here.
Anna Tucker is here.
Oh, very good.
And the mayor will also be reading this and presenting it on Sunday.
Okay, so do we want to get a brief picture of the presentation?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, next on the agenda is public participation at the beginning of each meeting, or close to the beginning of each meeting now. We have public participation. Public can participate on the item that's not on the agenda, and we have 15 minutes dedicated to public participation. The maximum is 3 minutes each, and it looks like tonight we have one person signed up in the room, and I'm going to see what we have in Zoom. One on Zoom, so there'll be 3 minutes each. So first, I would call on Catherine Waddleton. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I don't need 3 minutes, I don't
Okay.
think. My name is Catherine Waddleton, and I live on Fenwick Street, which is in District 3, and I'd like to see Framingham add some regulations around short-term rentals. There's a house in my neighborhood, it's actually in District 4, that was purchased and immediately turned into a full-time Airbnb rental. There have been some issues with loose dogs, noisy parties, lots of cars coming and going. Nobody knows any of the people, and I'd like to see some regulations. So I'm wondering how to kick that process off. What can I do to kick that process off so that you folks can do the right thing?
So I appreciate you bringing it up here. I know you have sent us an email. I know you spoke to a couple of counselors, and they can put things in place so that we can make that happen. Generally, we don't respond specifically
Okay.
during public participation, but thank you for your participation, both coming here and your emails, and I'm sure you'll hear
Okay.
from somebody as to what next steps we can take to review the matter are.
Okay, sounds perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. There's now 2 people, but that's okay. I'll go with Diana Bassett on Zoom.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Diane Bassett. I live at 18 Grisbosca Circle. I'm here tonight just to speak.
Excuse me, are you going to speak about the Salem Road property?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but if you could wait until that comes up on the agenda, since that's on the agenda, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. And Mr. Bloomfield. Mr. Bloomfield?
Yes, good evening.
Good
Can you
evening.
hear me?
We cannot hear you tonight, actually.
What do you mean? Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, but yeah, go ahead.
I got a bad phone here. Nonetheless, the proclamation was well done by the counselor, and I just want to say 1 or 2 things in addition. That man, Henry Knox, was an ordinary individual that somehow was able to bring about a turning point in the Revolutionary War. Without his bravery and his command of situation and tactics and geometry and terrain and so on and so forth, that would not have happened, and the outcome of the war would have been totally different. So, and he was a Bostonian, born in 1750, passed away in 1806, a relatively young man. but he had a special virtue about him. So a little bit of information. And don't answer this question. Just raise your hand. A monument was placed in Framingham in a strategic location for Henry Knox. Who of you, by raising your hands, know where that monument is or ever read it?
It's on a busy street.
Yeah, you're parked in the intersection regularly, Mr. Bloomfield, so it's hard to miss it.
We've stood at that.
I'm going to tell you where it is. It's right along Route 9 where the old library. It's right along Route 9 where the old library is, at the intersection of Main Street and Edgell Road and Route 9. There it is for all to read, all to see. Okay, on a slightly different note, 5 meetings ago, Miss Frank, it's all about who's going to pay. Who's going to pay? We all are going to pay some way or another, some way or another. It's going to be written up, signed, and agreed to by all parties. It has to be written up. I sense there's a little bit of distrust in the groups of the government of the city, and it has to be written up and signed by the city side and the school district. Property payers are going to pay.
You have 30
city side.
seconds, Mr. Bloomfield, sorry.
Thank you.
No, you have 30 more seconds. I'm not sure what's going on with Mr. Bloomfield's audio tonight, but, okay, so I'm going to assume he is done. Next on the agenda is public hearing. So it's a public hearing on regarding a new annual pool table permit at the Eagles. So I ask someone to make a motion to open the public hearing.
So, second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Cannon, second by Mr. Stefanini. All those in favor, I'm going to start doing these as I described at the last meeting, so just so everybody knows what I'm doing. Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Aviani?
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Leon-Bruno?
Yes.
Okay, so is anyone here from the administration about this? Or,
Michael Royce.
Good evening.
good evening. So can you just let us know what the request is here?
Yes, so there is a request for annual pool tables for the Eagles. It has come to my attention during renewals that they had non-coin operated pool tables, so I wanted to get that all sorted out and have it under your jurisdiction now.
Okay, so this is a recommendation that everybody signed off on for the pool table, right?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Cannon, second by Ms. Leon-Bruno. Any further discussion?
Just one quick.
Yes.
Mr. Royce, unless it's something we need to know, there's a lot redacted on here, and it's probably personal information, unless I'm wrong, correct me.
It's not, it just doesn't pertain to any of it, it's just the other coin operated. So when we moved to OpenGov, it was just all of the other information that didn't pertain to this, regarding that they have like, I think it's a jukebox and golden tea or something like that there as well.
If there's a way of redacting what is, there's not a problem to include more than what is needed, but inevitably someone will have a question about, well, what's blacked out?
Yeah.
Sometimes if it needs to be blacked out, indicating what field it is, but not, like if it's a social security number, if you just take another look at that for next time,
Yeah.
I'm sure it makes sense. Thank you very much.
Anything else? Okay, so all those in favor, Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Aviani?
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini? Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Leon-Bruno?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, Ms.
Did you
Long
want
has
to
stopped
ask
back
me?
at the top of the list. Just getting used to the system myself. Sorry about that, Ms. Long.
Confusing and it's
Yeah.
worse.
Yes, I get it. You're working out the kinks. Trying to be fair, it may take a little bit longer, so we'll have to evaluate it as we go along. All right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope you had a chance to watch my State of the City address last week. I used that opportunity to reflect on what we accomplished in 2025 and to outline priorities and goals as we begin my second term. This Friday morning, I'll be meeting with our legislative delegation to talk about city finances and several other key issues. We've invited the City Council Chair, George King, to join us so we can continue strengthening the coordination between local and state partners. The city is supporting small businesses through our Microenterprise Assistance Program. We're offering 10 one-time grants of $7,200 to small and startup businesses located in Framingham. Program is funded through the federal CDBG dollars and administered by our Community Development Program. Priority is given to first-time applicants, entrepreneurs who may not qualify for traditional financing, and businesses that will help create jobs and strengthen our local economy. Eligible businesses must be based in Framingham and meet income and size requirements, with additional priority for those in low-income census tracts. Applications are available in English, Portuguese, and Spanish and are due March 15th, 2026. A business plan and financial documentation will be required. Also want to let you know there's a vacancy on the SIFOC Committee, Strategic Initiative and Financial Oversight Committee. Ken Russo, who was the chair, resigned last month. We appreciate his service, and the city will begin advertising for volunteers to fill that mayoral seat this week. In addition, my office is currently advertising multiple volunteer openings on the 5-member Framingham Cable Advisory Committee. The deadline to apply is February 18th, and the application is available on the city website and in the city's Sunday newsletter. Framingham Public Library is working on its 5-year master plan. A committee chaired by Library Director Don Della Santa and Library Trustees Chair Heather Klisch has been meeting for the past month or so to guide that effort. At the Callahan Center, a new partnership with UMass Boston is underway to conduct a needs assessment of residents aged 55 and older. A citywide survey will go out in March, and today the first of 3 focus groups was held. Finally, I'm excited to share that a partnership between the city and Framingham Public Schools is bringing back the Framingham Blazers Band. More than 50 community members have already expressed interest in performing, which speaks to the strong community enthusiasm for this program. And that's my report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Ms. Feeney, then Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really glad to hear that you're meeting with the legislative delegation this week. I just wanted to share something that I heard at the MMA that I would like you to consider and to talk to our delegation about. Governor Healy announced that she has put $1.2 billion for cities and towns to repair roads and bridges over the next 4 years. I think this is an incredible moment, and I would like us to seriously look at the Framingham Center Bridge, Edgell Road, Main Street. That bridge was built in 1967. As someone who travels on it every day, and I know I'm not alone, it needs to be repaired. You could see rebarb in certain parts of the bridge. When you're sitting on that bridge at the light and those big car carriers are coming through from Odessa, you shake. So I think this would be a very good time for us to really seriously look at that intersection, that bridge, and talk to our delegation to see if we can, in the next 4 years, start looking to get that money.
We intend to do that, but also part of that bill was money for local bridges
Yep.
that are too small for the state ownership and responsibility of cities and towns. We have a number of those in Framingham, and the most needy is the one that goes over School Street, the brook that goes into Lake Cochituate.
Yep.
So we're going to be pushing for that in the coming year.
Okay. I would like to add that to your list as well, if you can consider that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Since it came up earlier this evening, I think you were on the council when short-term rental regulation locally was first discussed, I think shortly after we first became a city. I don't think anything became of it then locally because we anticipated the state, if I'm remembering correctly, having some sort of having some sort of action forthcoming at the time. Just in the sake of saving some time, unless you have a position that you'd like to talk about, can you perhaps talk amongst your team, see if it's something that administratively is worth looking at? It sounds like one of those things that the council will need to collaborate on as well, but since your administration would have to enforce it, this is a partnership thing that perhaps the administration can lead on if you think there's need, which it sounds like there is. It sounds like it's worthy of re-examination anyway. Fair enough?
Sure.
Terrific, thank you. We make things happen. Public participation, what else we got going? Has there been any opportunity to look at a new place for Sharps drop-off in the city? This came up before the end of your first term. It was at the police station. It now, I believe, is just at the health department, only during business hours. It's led to some unlawful disposal in certain areas. I don't know if that's back on someone's radar or if that could be looked at.
Yeah, I think the Board of Health was looking for other locations. There's this group that's an offshoot of the former group that used to pick up the needles that want to meet with us to talk about reintroducing that service to the city. And someone had mentioned the possibility of putting a Sharps receptacle at the train station. They had thought, erroneously, comes to find out, that the MBTA allows those at their stations, and that was not correct. Someone thought it was an event at the Franklin commuter rail station, and we've since found out that the MBTA does not provide that. Their sites for Sharps drop-off. So we're still looking for other locations.
Maybe it's helpful, maybe it would be worthy of seeing if the police department was the best location for that. It's less, this particular request that's gotten to me has been less from folks about whatever we're calling needles and whatever the terminology is for the discussions that we've had, and more from seniors who are trying to properly dispose of the items that they need to dispose of properly. So a safe location that's open. So maybe the police station is worthy of reconsideration. I believe, although I'm having trouble identifying what would apply to us, that there is perhaps the opportunity to redefine opportunity zones locally in the coming year. There's a lot of contradictory information, so I'm not clear if you have a sense of if that's accurate or what that process would be.
I've had a discussion with Sarkey, Community Development Director, and apparently there's been a new map that's been published that amends our existing opportunity zones, and we're trying to track that down and to see whether it's actually taken effect or if it's just proposed, because it would accommodate some of the projects he's working on. So we're looking into that, and we'll find out more about it. And if it isn't in fact in place yet, we'll be looking to propose that it does get accepted, because it'll be very helpful to the city.
Without a doubt. That's great. I'm glad it's on your radar, and I'm sure you'll keep us informed of that. And then my last thing is, there's been a lot of discussion over the years about property being transferred to the EDC, and I was hoping some of it would be in the background material tonight. It doesn't look like there's any impending action. Do you have a time frame on when some of those properties, when you'll begin that process to transfer some municipal properties to the EDC, and what those may be?
I have had some meetings with EDC and talking about potentially doing that with some of the city properties. We're trying to finalize which ones would be most appropriate for the EDC to take over. Then we have to go figure out what the process is for transferring the ownership. Obviously, the city council will have a role in that, and I hopefully will have a proposal in the next couple of months to transfer at least one or two pieces of property to EDC.
Okay, terrific, excellent. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant?
Thank you, Chair. Mayor, so if you guys haven't seen the map yet, or have you seen it, how do we know whether it's better for Framingham yet, in terms of opportunity zones?
Well, the conversation I had with Sarkey is that he's seen a map, which we don't know whether it's been approved yet or if it's still being proposed, but it shows new areas of the downtown area that would be located in an opportunity zone that aren't currently operated in one. And one of those areas happens to be in an area where he's working with the property owners to do some development there. And they could possibly take advantage of the opportunity zone programs. So until we get more information about that, there's not much more I can say about it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and also, so the Blazers, the revitalization of the Blazer band, is how would there be advertising? Is it going to be citywide advertising for children, students to sign up? Is it going to come through the school system? And then most importantly, will they eventually resurrect the Blazerettes also?
I'm sure if it's successful, they'll do everything they can to bring it back, all of it back. And we'll work on that.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else for the mayor? Seeing nobody, we'll go to our next agenda item. It is the update, request of Councilor Ottaviani, update on the property at 334 and 344 Salem Road. Councilor Ottaviani?
Yeah, my phone's been ringing off the hook. I live in the neighborhood. I'm not the representative anymore of that neighborhood, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But, when talking to some of the neighbors, with all the meetings we've had and some of the discussions with some of the city councilors, I think it's a perfect fit, that property, to be taken by eminent domain, by the city of Framingham. We put it with the DCR piece. We've got passive recreation, and we have a beautiful piece there. We combine the two together. Because, every neighborhood gets upset when they hear about development. But this is truly a unique neighborhood in a situation. There are no big buildings on Salem End Road. There's no mixed-use development on Salem End Road. On Salem End Road, you have houses, you have 8,000 square foot lots up at Stonegate, you got acre lots down the other end, okay? It makes no sense, and it abuts a reservoir. It's not the proper place. And I building commissioner made a determination, the neighbors appealed it, they got the runaround, okay? In all fairness, I talked to a few of them, they were told they couldn't appeal the decision. How can you not appeal it? I served as the chair of the zoning board for 21 years. You can appeal anything you want. You can appeal a ham and cheese sandwich, for Christ's sakes. So they didn't like his determination. So all they had to do was take that determination by Fred Bray and file an action. Psaki wasn't sure. This one wasn't sure. So Dave Abramson marched down and found out, yeah, you absolutely can appeal it. That's the first step. So you had to do it within so many days, which they did, and they were on the zoning board agenda, I believe, February 11th, in the first order of business at 7 p.m. But to overturn a building commissioner's decision is difficult. Mr. Cicino can speak to that. Usually, our zoning board in the past, we upheld. We overturned Mr. Ticino over on Blandon Avenue, and it was a nightmare. It was just, it just sometimes, you see things differently than other people. But that project surely doesn't belong in that neighborhood, okay? So whatever we can do to assist, to help, or to come up with an avenue. And eminent domain is the easiest, and I know when I talk to you, Mr. Chair, it would have to maybe do an executive session to have some strategy and discussions, but if that's what's needed, I'd like to see us put an executive session meeting together before our next meeting, gets the city solicitor in there, get the mayor, get Mr. Ticino, and figure out how we can take this by eminent domain, because it's up to us. It's not up to the mayor's office, it's up to us. We don't need the mayor's office to present it to us. We can present it to ourselves. And the majority of the city council rules on it. So I think it's something we really should explore, look into, before it's too late. And I don't know.
The process does require the mayor's office, though.
I thought we can.
I guess we could consider it, but, we can talk about it, but we can't take it without the executive also.
Okay. Well, that's why we need an executive session with them, with the city solicitor, and, we're the legislative body, and something needs to be done. And right now, it's the runaround is getting done.
Right. So I know we have some people looking to speak, which I'll get to in a minute. I'm happy to hear you. But just keep in mind, as of right now, there really is no official action in front of this body for the reason stated by Councilor Aviani. It's an appeal of a building commissioner's decision, and that's really the way it has to go. There's nothing that we as a group can do about it at this time, say potentially options like suggested. Any councilors, any comments, questions about this? Okay, so seeing none, so we do allow 15 minutes of each agenda item for conversation. I have about 10 people signed up, so if everybody could keep to about 90 seconds, that would be helpful. And if anybody is repeating themselves, if you could just keep an eye on that, okay?
Mr. Chair, Councilor Bryan has her hand up too, just so you know. And no.
Yeah, I'll call up for late people at the end. Okay, sorry, I didn't zoom. I see it, yeah. Tracy, go ahead.
Actually, now that you say there are 15 people in the room, maybe what they say will answer my questions. My general question was, I wanted to know exactly where this building was being proposed and what was the intended use, things like that.
Okay, so there's a piece of property on Salmon Road, abutting Cherry Oak Lane, right over the Salmon Road Bridge, is being proposed for a Dover Amendment project, which will house staff from a neighboring town's educational facility. And it abuts the DCR property, too.
Okay. My last question is, there is, actually, it's right across from Councilor Ottaviani's house. That site they have you can have conferences there. It's kind of historic. They may have summer camp there or something.
Yeah, that's not the same site, though.
No, it's not the same site, but is it near there?
No, it's right at the Salmon Road Bridge, right after the bridge that goes over the reservoir in Salmon Road on the left. If you're coming from the center, you're going down Salmon Road, go over that bridge, take a left, it's right there.
Okay. It does seem still close, but okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander, would you like to speak now?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's good to see you all tonight. Just to piggyback a little bit on Councilor Ottaviani's assertion and concerns. I haven't been getting as many of those emails and calls because of the change in the lines, but nevertheless, I've been hearing some rumblings from there, and I fully agree that that site is just not conducive for, or in aesthetically either conducive to having a dwelling like that. I mean, I see the I guess there is a need for it, but that need is across the border in another town in Southborough. So I just don't think, even though I see what they're thinking, it'll be close for their staff and everything, but it's just not the right fit. And I just want to be on the record for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go to the public now. As I say, we can keep it about a minute and a half each. That would be great. I'll start with Martin Quitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Martin Quitt. I live at 10 Cherry Oak Lane, and I'd like to follow Councilor Ottaviani's point by saying first something about the neighborhood. This is a very special neighborhood. We abutters on Cherry Oak Lane have a street which I think is not replicated anywhere else, not only in Framingham or perhaps in Metro West. There are 18 houses on Cherry Oak Lane. 5 of the families there, including mine, have lived there for over half a century. One family has lived there over 40 years. One family over 30 years, and another family over 20 years. So this is a genuine neighborhood that should be cherished and insulated from the ravages of this proposed development. Secondly, I'd like to say something as a Framingham lifer. Until they changed the charter, I was known as the local townie whenever we had any sort of representation down here.
You're about 15
There
seconds.
ought to be some
Mr. Ford.
collective pride in Framingham. Look at what you've just said, Councilor King. The school involved, for which they are looking for residential housing for their teachers, is located in Southborough. Southborough, where in
Mr. Quinn, your
2025,
time is up, okay?
they
So
were
you-
still below the state-required minimum for affordable housing. Here in Framingham, we've exceeded that limit by quite a bit, and yet you want to put in residential housing here to serve the needs of a school in Southborough? That makes
Okay,
no
Mr.
sense
Quinn,
on the
your
surface.
time is up, but thank you. Mr. Abramson?
Okay. My name is Dave Abramson. I live on Cherry Oak Lane also. The property in question is right behind my backyard. First of all, I'm talking about the Dover Amendment. This is not a Dover Amendment project. It never was a Dover Amendment project. It was a project by a builder to put some apartments in because he's been trying to get rid of that land for a fortune for years. And he finds if he can put this in, what happens down the road? There's a lease that's supposed to be there. We have never seen the lease. The fact that Fred Bray passed this along for approval without a lease is ridiculous. You don't know who owns it, you don't know how long the lease is, you don't know how it's controlled. If somebody owns that lease, and in a year from now, they say, okay, well, you know, the lease is gone, guess what? Thank you very much, we own the property, and we have a bunch of very nice apartments or condos. And by the way, since we already have it, we can build more. That is problem number one. As Marty said, it's single-zoned R4, and it's 1 acre. And it also, as Marty said, it's leased to an educational facility in another town. But again, we've never seen the lease, how long it is, how long it expires, and what happens if the original entity goes out of business? Who owns it? Who owns all that, those buildings? Originally, this application was done by a for-profit developer. When we pointed out they were a for-profit developer, suddenly the land was sold for $1 to a newly formed Delaware foundation named Health Education Charitable Foundation. Catchy name. This so-called foundation does not have a website. It is not listed with the Commonwealth of
You have
Massachusetts.
15 seconds, Mr. Abramson.
Okay, its office is in Waltham, where also other people who are involved in this have their offices. This is an accident, basically, this affects real people, okay? Your constituents. We've lived on Cherry Oak Lane, as Marty said, for years and years and years. They pay taxes, they send their kids to school, they maintain the neighborhood. Think about the consequences in this, because once this thing is built, you can't unbuild it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abramson. Nanette Vignani?
Hi, thank you for your time. I'm Nanette Magnani. I live at 13 Cherryoka Lane, which, as everybody has said, abuts a proposed development. I was not aware of very much about the Dover Amendment. In fact, I was a little bit taken aback, as you can recall, last summer when we were talking about this here before the council from an environmentalist perspective when they felled 4 acres of trees with no permit. That was really quite alarming. However, I'm also have a background as a director of training services for World Education Incorporated, which is a private 501c3 in Boston, and I was there for 5 years in the 90s. So I had an affinity, as well as I wanted to find out more about the New England Center for Children, because I certainly did not want to be not my own backyard syndrome of not having people coming in. What I found out about the Dover Amendment is that it's not a guarantee that any project with quote-unquote educational charter automatically qualifies. This is from the Massachusetts website. The Massachusetts appellate courts have imposed quote-unquote common sense limits so that cities and towns can exercise their right to deny a Dover Amendment. The protected goal must be, quote-unquote, educationally significant, and it must be the dominant
15
purpose.
seconds.
I would think that the Dover Amendment, I'm going to take a little bit longer.
Well,
The Dover
Well,
Amendment.
you're not going to take a little bit longer right now because we have a limited amount of time.
Dover
There is
Amendment, to my mind, is
So-
an ethical, that the organizations that apply for it need to meet a standard of being ethical and have integrity. As the former
Okay,
person
Ms.
had
Magnani,
said,
your time is up, so
I thought I had 3 minutes.
no, you had, because our rules allow 15 minutes for a particular item, and I try to divide it by the number of people.
Okay,
And we-
I will shorten this.
All right, but your time is up.
All right,
I mean,
I just
that's
wanted
not
to
this
let the-
unimportant information.
Okay, I just want to let the council know that they lied to the neighbors. The woman who owns or is part of the corporation came to our holiday party last year and said she was going to be building a swimming pool. And then they fell down the 4 acres of land.
Okay.
So I don't think they meet the bar of having integrity or honesty.
Thank you.
you. Sorry for taking more time.
All right, George Heineman, I believe it is?
Good evening. George Heineman, live on Portmore Lane, which is District 6. Grew up in District 2, and so I spent 40 years in Framingham. I drive by this property all the time, and when I first saw how it was placed, I'm like, oh, great, there's going to be a nice little recreational place here. And so thanks to this Councilor Ottaviani, it's a wonderful idea. And so I know that there are legal processes to follow, and so none of my emotional feelings will get in the way. There's 10 or 12 people that would like to be here to talk, but they've got young kids and they can't, so we are. And on their behalf, there are processes in place, there are appeals, and this is the way things work. Executive sessions is a wonderful idea. That's how things get done, and that's we have to make that work. If this property goes forward, the traffic coming out of Salem Inn Road onto Temple Street, because they're going to have to go that way to go Route 9, will be unbearable. I'm already facing that every day when I drive my kid to the high school. It backs up all the way down to your house. And we're just used to it. And so that will continue. And what I'm afraid of is that once the structure is built, it will then be potentially sent off to anyone else who wants to use it for apartments. So there's no way to protect that. And so we had a porch that we wanted to build in the backyard. It was 198 feet from the water easement, so we had to go through a whole process, and we finally got that done. They are 5 feet from the water, this wonderful sacred reservoir that we should be taken care of. And this is one thing that you can do, and I would give it my time for more people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the 90 seconds. So I just want to explain again. We have a 15-minute limit for each item. That's for my, about 10 people. However, the city council can waive that 15 minutes. And if the city council would like to waive our rules to allow more than 15 minutes, then we can allow everybody up to 3 minutes.
Chairman, I make a motion, we waive our rules.
Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Second.
Okay. All right, hold on. All those in favor? I'm starting with District 3. Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Aviani?
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
You didn't offer discussion on that.
I did not, correct. Would you like to discuss it?
I do want to say.
Chairman,
Yes.
Are we
procedural point of
going to
order.
have other sessions?
Hold on, Ms. Bryant. Mr. Stefanini?
We're in the middle of a roll call which cannot be interrupted except for a point of order.
That is true.
Point of
However, I
order.
may, go ahead.
So, I mean, I don't want to go for 3 minutes if we're going to have them come back and be able to talk again before our executive
Well,
session.
don't worry. Mrs. Magnani took her 3 minutes anyways, and I think the other people were generally done. So they'll just be going forward. We have about 6 or 7 more people.
Okay, then I vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
That we like to.
Myself, yes. Ms. Leon Bruno?
Yes.
Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I will go forward now, 3 minutes, but it is a pretty strict timeline because it seems a little punitive, I know at times, but there's a reason for it, is because if we don't keep those rules, then we can get in trouble on other issues, okay? So I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just trying to follow the rules. Okay, next is Jennifer Shanti.
Hi, Jennifer Shanti. I think I'm District 6 now, full-time resident here since birth. My dad was Thomas Shanti, the Commissioner of Public Works, and brought recycling to Framingham. The thing that I would have to say is Salem Inn Road is a historic road. It's got major history for the United States even. To be building on this tiny road with this bridge, it just doesn't even make sense. We just assumed it would be 4 or 5 houses in there, which we were sad because it was right along the reservoir, and it's right next to, I think Framingham State owns that property now.
Yeah.
Or somebody. I thought they were going to maybe make some, mixed-use property for, the reservoir is like such a finite resource, and just seeing that going to a school in Southborough for their teachers to be living there, it really doesn't make sense for that area where it is. There's Route 9, there's plenty of commercial buildings that are empty. Maybe they could take over one of those right on the border of Framingham and Southborough. So it just doesn't even make sense. But that's all I just wanted to say. It's a historic road. And
Thank you very much. Next would be Kevin McNeely.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Major General Kevin McNeely, retired. I live at 58 Singletary Lane. My wife and I are not longtime residents of Framingham. We moved here in 2019. I retired from the Army, and we loved the community, and we moved here. And when we saw the house on Singletary Lane, we had to have it. It's an old house, built in 1912, and everybody was wanting to tear it down because it had been neglected for quite a few years, and we wanted to save it. And so we poured a lot of time, a lot of energy, and unfortunately a lot of money also into renovating the property and making it come together as it should, because it is such a beautiful neighborhood. And that's what took us there. Frankly, I was not too concerned about a development until I found out what it was going to be in 47 rental units with 103 parking spaces. The traffic is already terrible. Right in front of our house, between the stone walls, people already treat it as a raceway. There's plenty of times I'm being passed by people as I'm trying to turn into the driveway. The 25-mile-an-hour signs are great, but they don't slow anybody down. The mirror at Singletary and Salem End is nice, but again, it doesn't slow anybody down. The only thing that slows people down is the amount of traffic early in the morning and in the afternoon. And, but otherwise you're taking your life at risk every time you turn out onto Salem End from Singletary, because people do drive so quickly down through there. So adding more congestion to that area is not a good thing for anybody. So I just like to say thanks for everybody else who's put a lot more thought into this, but that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a point of information. I think it's 96 units, not 47.
Okay.
I think that's the proposal.
So I know there are people in the room who still want to talk. I'm going to go to Zoom. Ms. Moser, if you'd like to speak, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. My name's Lori Moser, and I live at 17 William J. Heights. I'm in District 6, and I just wanted to express concern, like the others in the audience, about this property, that there has been a pattern of unpermitted activity, inadequate enforcement, and a lack of transparency surrounding this development. The issues also raise a broader question about the city's oversight and the consistency with which Framingham enforces its own regulations. Residents here have witnessed extensive tree clearing, land disturbance, and site alterations conducted without required permits. And these actions were not minor or accidental. They were substantial, visible, and in clear violation of city procedures. Yet the response from the city has really, in my opinion, been insufficient to defer further noncompliance. In addition, this developer's vague and shifting narrative regarding the intended use of the property, it's including references to a lease with the New England Center for Children, particularly if this developer intends to invoke the Dover Amendment, the city really has provided no clear information, no documentation, and no public explanation of how this project is being evaluated and monitored. As others have stated, this property is really zoned for a maximum of 4 single-family homes, but what is being proposed is a multi-story, 96-bed residence hall with 103 parking spaces. That's a big difference. The lack of transparency kind of undermines public trust, and we should not have to rely on rumors or after-the-fact explanations to understand what's happening in our neighborhood. The city has an obligation to ensure that developers follow the rules and that violations are addressed promptly and meaningfully. I do urge the City Council to require full disclosure of the developer's agreements, intended use, and any claims related to the Dover Amendment. And I also would like to see the city hold the developer accountable for any violations that they've already committed, including unpermitted clearing of the site. I respectfully request that you all keep a very close eye on this project and protect the integrity of our zoning and permitting processes. And I will also send a letter to the ZBA as well. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Jane Todd?
Hi, thank you. I'm Jane Todd. I live at 4 Barry Drive, which is up in Woodcrest Acres, up beyond Singletary Lane. And this is a quality of life issue, not just what everyone else has spoken about. It has to do with traffic. But I also want to mention the wildlife that nests and feeds along the banks of the reservoir. The parking spaces that will be paved, you'll have water runoff. I don't know what that will do to the water table for the surrounding homes in that area. We've seen that when people have changed their backyards or re-landscaped. It has affected the homes in the area. So that's a concern to me. Eminent domain, I mean, that sounds great. I suppose that would mean, pardon?
Oh, say God bless.
Oh, sorry. With eminent domain, would that mean that Framingham would have to shell out money for the value of that land? So that would probably have to be voted on. I mean, it sounds great. I'd love to have a place to put my canoe in the water or have hiking trails that could connect to Maycomber. That'd be great. But I encourage everyone to go to the ZBA meeting next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock and have a prepared speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Maureen Canellis?
Hi, good morning. I'm a Framingham resident. I'm Maureen Canellis. I live at 3 William J. Heights. I've only been living here for 5 years, but I appreciate the community that I've already found. I'm an emergency medicine physician, and I want to talk to you about something a little bit different than what's been brought up already, and that's the issue of public safety for our community. So zoning is protective. It exists because the road and emergency response infrastructure has limits. And I'm talking about that here because I can't go to the zoning board next week because I work. So this area is zoned for low-density residential use because the surrounding roads are not designed to safely absorb that high volume. And when development exceeds those limits, people will put at risk. And so Salem End Road and the surrounding intersections already have congestions, crashes, injuries to our community members and others. And increasing that traffic in that corridor is going to predictably increase those collisions, those injuries, those deaths. That's known in studies. That's not theoretical, that's known. And so across Massachusetts, our EMS systems are already experiencing longer ambulance wait times, and every additional minute matters. Just last month, I took care of a 2-year-old who was dying from the flu, and I truly believe if he had waited any further minutes to get to me, he'd be dead today. And so importantly, EMS response times affect every single person in our community, not just the ones who live in this corridor, because when an ambulance takes longer to get to you and your family, it takes even longer to get to the next person and their family. So it's also going to push drivers down that Salem End or Singletary pathway, further increasing the risk to people walking on that road. I see many cyclists, pedestrians, a lot of school bus traffic, and they're going to hit people because we don't have sidewalks on that road. And so as both a physician and a neighbor here, I ask you guys to prioritize the community safety in this area and not support this project. And please perhaps share some of those concerns next week at the zoning board.
Thank you. Okay, I know a couple of people came in late. This gentleman over here, did you want someone over here want to speak? You all three want to speak? Okay. No, I get that.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. My name's Dennis DeRosa. I live at 37 Travis Drive. And I've been a resident for 30 years, since 95. We love the community. We love the beautiful roads in the neighborhood. The only thing that we have a problem with is the last couple of years, once, I guess it was Framingham Teachers College became Framingham, part of the University of Massachusetts, they started bringing in more traffic, which has been going on, I think, about 15 years now. More traffic on Salem End Road, which you could see right away off of Route 9. They were coming down off the Pike, right through Salem End. So we've been tolerating that for years. There's been a lot of accidents on Salem End Road and Singletary, many that I can tell you about. And just this year, just last year, they put up a stop sign instead of a proposed single light because there was so much traffic. The only time anybody will stop is if there's an accident or a 8 o'clock or a 10 o'clock backup, and that happens an awful lot in this neighborhood. And I just think it's not right that you would want to do something like this, especially where, who gives you the right to take over land where it's only 5 feet from the reservoir? Is there a certain criteria they're meeting that we don't know about? I'd like to know that answer. Or can I get some paperwork sent to me for that?
Right, well, I don't think we have that particular answer here. Like I said earlier,
Okay.
nobody on this board we're not even overseeing this right now, so that's something you'd have to ask the city.
Okay, so call the zoning board
You
and
can
ask for that
certainly give
information?
them a call or.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay.
At the zoning board meeting, he can request that of Building Commissioner, Mr. Bray will be there, because they're over, you've appealed, or Dave Abramson and Mr. Bonanno appealed the
Right.
decision, so the Building Commissioner will be there to answer questions. So you can ask him for that documentation, and the city has an obligation to give you that stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
And so I guess that's about everything at this point, but to go ahead with a nonprofit organization, and who said there's 1 bed per unit? You can put 2 or 3 beds in there. Who's to restrict that? Or to check on how many beds there are? So let's say the 2 beds or 3 beds in each unit. Doesn't that multiply it by about 3? To about 340?
I would say the same thing that Mr. Ottaviani
No
just said.
control.
I mean, I understand your frustration, but no one here can answer those specific
No, I'm just bringing this up.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say one more thing. My son, he was so impressed with the neighborhood and living here for years, he bought a home right down one house over at 32. Well, I should say 33, right, Mike? Yeah. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Smart kid, because he wants the grandparents. I got mine down, I got the grandfather down the street for my daughter. It works.
My name's Mike DeRosa. That's my dad, Dennis DeRosa. I live at 33 Travis Drive. I've lived in Framingham my entire life. One of the, I guess, attractions for me to moving from Fairbanks Road in Framingham to Travis Drive was the neighborhood. If this development gets approved, that's going to be a huge impact to both myself and my wife, our current situation, but also anyone who is like us, who will be like us in the future as well. We're going to lose the attraction that Framingham has. In my opinion, there's certain neighborhoods that are more coveted by certain individuals, right? We look for certain things that we like. Adding this development takes away from what that neighborhood has to offer. It increases risk from a safety perspective, like others were saying. And also, I just kind of want to go back to a little bit of the intent of the Dover amendment. It was really put in place, is my understanding, due to religious and really religious kind of prejudice, right? And then it kind of got built on to school or educational and religious prejudice. I feel like the intent is kind of wavering here, right? A couple of things. One, I don't agree with it, right? I don't think it should have been approved. I question, what is the value proposition to the folks of Framingham? What are we getting out of it? I'm not sure, right? I don't see the value for Framingham in this, and as a business person, that's kind of the question I always ask myself. The other thing is, who's having our best interests in mind? I'm, making my voice loud and clear here, but I'm expecting that whoever's approved this is having our back, right? Putting our interests first. The other thing I'll say is, I go down that road every single day to go to work. I work at Sanofi 5 minutes away. That's going to have a huge impact on my day-to-day commute, which is only 5 minutes right now, right? There's kind of that new triangle of death as you head towards Badger Road. And then every day, right across the street from the stop sign where Singletary and Salem End meet, there's a new fence being put up every 6 months. Cars are going through the fence. People will get injured if this is tolerated. So I just want to go on the record and say that. And then one other thing is, people do leave jobs due to commutes. I left my job that was in Bedford because of the commute. I came to Framingham, commute 5 minutes away. That's going to, decrease the skill set and the attraction that Framingham has. So there are bigger impacts at play here, and I really do hope those are considered. The last thing I'll say is if this does get approved, I really hope that the zoning board can put limitations on the use of that property. So they want to build a 3-story structure? No. You get a 1-story structure. It may not be, fit for their purpose anymore. Oh, well, right? I do feel that there may be some kind of avenues that can be pursued. Let's make the property less attractive and desirable. And it's not specific to that organization. It's for any organization based on the use of that property.
Your time is up, Mr. Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on this side of the room? Seeing none, the gentleman in the back.
Thank you. Eddie Rodriguez, 16 Grisbosca Circle. Integrity. 334 to 344 Salem End Road is zoned for R4 zoning, which is single-family 1-acre zoning. This project is not that. Integrity. A 96-bed multi-story residence hall with 103 parking spaces does not belong in this neighborhood, especially when the developer has violated conservation and wetlands laws. Integrity. How many times have I heard in these meetings that the environment has to be a top priority in all the decision-making for Framingham residents? There was supposed to be a $300 fine, $300 a day fine exacted on the developer and enforced for these violations, yet I'm hearing that it hasn't been yet enforced and just added to the tab at the end that can be paid on the back end. So we've just telegraphed that we're going to allow everything the developer just did to clear cut and violate environmental laws and then add it to his tab that he's free to pay after he's in the money. What kind of precedent does that set going forward? Where are the teeth in these fines if we don't enforce them up front? The fines are meant to modify behavior so as to promote compliance with the law now. What developer wouldn't look at this and follow suit anywhere else in Framingham? Just violate the law, obtain paper fines and penalties, finish the project, and then pay up later after the windfall. Will the zoning board and the city council really look the other way? What happened to the environment? It's comply with environmental laws for thee, but not for me. Integrity. The property was sold for $1 to a newly Delaware formed nonprofit with no mission statement or website in order to take advantage of the Dover Amendment. Does that sound above board? Integrity. We should uphold all developers to the same fair standard and not give any preferential treatment no matter what the ties are, no matter who they are, how much we like them, especially when they violated the law. Integrity. This project will create more traffic and congestion for a family-centric neighborhood on a historical road. It sets a really bad precedent because there are those who are watching what happens with this property. There is a tactic in negotiation and in statecraft called anchoring bias. This is where you first propose an offer that's outrageous and unacceptable by any party. But now this gives you room to lower the temperature and negotiate down to where you really wanted to be. Kind of like when the development got proposed for Knobscott in the, you know what, never mind. So, all that energy and used, I'm not going to go down that road. 322 Salem End Road is
There's 30
next door.
seconds left, Mr. Rodriguez.
322 Salem End Road is next door, also known as the Pump House on Stearns Reservoir. It's already been alluded to. The Mass DCR has been trying to sell that property since 2014, almost did to Framingham State, but this neighborhood opposed it. Whatever happens with 334 Salem End Road is going to guide what we can expect to see next door on that much bigger waterfront property. If we do eminent domain, okay, fine, but it's got to serve all of us. Please help us stay firm to the zoning of R4. Don't let this developer take advantage of a loophole to deface and alter our neighborhood. We cannot be the sucker at the card table again.
Okay, your time is up, Mr.
Fox
Rodriguez.
gets into the henhouse once, it'll do it again.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Okay, the last comment I'm going to take on Zoom from Diane Bassett, who did try to speak earlier in public participation. Ms. Bassett, you can go ahead.
Diane Bassett. I live at 18 Grisbosca Circle. People before me have outlined with great detail the conflicts created by the proposal at this property. I guess what I would, rather than repeat their information, what I would say is we rely on the city administration and elected officials to be watching out for all of us. But for the active engagement of the Cherry Oak neighborhood, this project would have gone without any opposition. And so I thank them for their organization to call all of our attention to it. My message to the city council is just, I ask you to be engaged in this process, carefully monitoring what happens, using whatever authority and creativity you can exercise to provide the supervision and oversight and intervention that's needed to stop it. With the administration, with the building commissioner, with the zoning board of appeals, we will all be there, but we're going to need your leadership to make it happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for coming this evening, and as you see, on Mr. Ward, did you want something? Did you want to speak?
Before you wrap.
What's that?
Yeah, before you close the topic.
Okay, well, I was closing it, so go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Well, first, I just want to thank everyone for being here and for engaging the council on this topic. As has been alluded to by others, it is before another board, and there's a process that's being gone through. I think we should be prepared to discuss some of the options that have been suggested here tonight. We have a meeting on the 17th. We'll have more information then. I think it's imperative that we have a better idea of the actual educational bona fides of the proposal and what due diligence and process has been gone through by the building department. Eminent domain, I don't take that lightly, and there was a lot of legal counsel we would need before even considering an action like that. And so I would hope maybe on the 17th, if we do an executive session, the city solicitor can be a real resource and guide for us then. So that's just where I'm at and what I would love to see us do in terms of next steps.
Right, I've already asked that the executive session before the 17th be set.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Mr. Stephanie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the creativity of thinking about eminent domain, and I think as a long-term strategy, it may be a strategy to use, but you're looking at a lot of money, a lot of time, and taking this property by eminent domain, the property value is going to be set by the zoning board, the courts, the decision that happens around that. And so, while I think that's good creative thinking, I caution us about being distracted by a long-term strategy when a short-term issue is in front of us. And really what we need is we need to make sure that the files involving this are transparent, that the building inspector, the stuff that Mr. Ottaviani talked about, is on our website. I think that's good advice and good piece, and frankly, we shouldn't wait, the building inspector shouldn't wait for the hearing for someone to ask. We should be doing what other communities do, is proactively putting that information out there. And this is going to end up in court, whether it's appealed by the neighbors or by the developer, and the value of this will be set by the court on this case. And the precedent that this will set will have a rippling effect on other projects in our community and potentially other communities as well. And so I would just caution us to slow down the executive session eminent domain discussion, because it's a very long one and a very costly one, and it should not detract from the need for greater transparency discussion. And it is the city's 3-member zoning board that is appointed by the mayor, approved by the council, that will be voting on this matter. And that's really where the buck stops in the first instance. And so I appreciate that, but it could take us a decade to get money and resources and figure out eminent domain on this site.
Ms. Bryant?
What I would say to that is, it never should have been approved in the first place. All of the reasons were listed, but one, the Dover Amendment is being misused, and the fact Framingham is just full of educational facilities. We are not a town that does not have plenty of space for educational facilities. We don't prevent educational facilities or religious facilities. We have a lot of both. It's a misrepresentation of the Dover Amendment, like as a threat. Southborough has always, I shouldn't say that. Let me just say that Southborough has plenty of space and land to have this residential place there. Where they want to put it is not, is a good fit. I've never seen them put things like that there, and it doesn't fit in Framingham. I do take exception. Someone was saying, not in this area of Framingham, right here. It really doesn't belong anywhere in Framingham. Southborough has the space. The school is in Southborough. That is what they didn't even try to look there or put it there. They have plenty of space to put it there. It doesn't belong here. And I think the suggestion of eminent domain, it's never been 10 years. Well, I won't say it's never been 10 years, but we have taken things by eminent domain before. So I wouldn't dismiss that so easily. But I do agree that we should be getting the information and getting answers clear sooner, as soon as possible. And even though it's the zoning board or whatever, the planning board, that it's a 3-member board and making this decision, but I have to agree with the residents. The cutting down of the trees and things that was unlawful or inappropriate at the time, it was done, and the fines, they should have been fined to the maximum, and that alone is reason enough just to squash the project, because they have violated, or so it seems, and it was written up. They have violated, major planning rules in Framingham. There's so many reasons to stop this project. We have to do what's best for Framingham.
Thank you. Mr. Aliviani, do you want the last word?
I thought Councilor Byrne had her hand up too, but in all fairness, the zoning board has to be a unanimous vote. We know that. That's number one. Number two, I think it's eminent domain is a tricky road to go down. However, it's an opportunity. The DCR property next door, they're looking to do something. Framingham State wanted it. The neighborhood was against that kind of plan. DCR wants to do something there. EDC's looking at that property, as we know. This piece, the value, it was marketed. It's real estate 101. It was marketed for crazy money. It never got sold. Then, a year ago, it was sold for like $1.3 million and not the house in the front. It's not a lot of money, okay? This value, the lots down the street went for $400,000 or $500,000 a piece, okay? Single-family lots at Ginger Estes, and I'm involved with that. But I'm going to tell you something. That's a bargain for that property, okay? And putting 96 units there will destroy that neighborhood. It destroys, they're right, I can't get out of my own driveway in the morning. I've lived in that district my entire life, 60 years, 62 years. Russell Road, Salem End to Salem End. I haven't gone far. Shame on me, but I didn't go far, okay? In 62 years, that's been my rap. And you can't make this up. And it's a unique opportunity because we combine that with the DCR piece. I think we need to go down these roads, because I can't wait to see the zoning board, but at least that's going forward, and I think parallel paths. The zoning board will make a decision most likely that night. They don't wait 60 or 90 days or keep the hearing open. So hopefully we'll know exactly what's going on after next week. So thank you for letting me keep talking, Mr. Chair.
So Philip took some of what I was going to say, but I do, I've been involved, from kind of the beginning of this, and we've gone back a long way with David and the group, and, I feel for the neighbors. The first time you guys came here, it's been a long road, and they've been very patient, and they have been trying to work within the guidelines of the process of how it was started. We had a meeting with the mayor. We sat down with Mike, explained the way the process was, and unfortunately, we end up here in front of the zoning board to have it on appeal, which I was on, like many of us here, it was unfortunate to see that. I was really hoping that it would be denied, because I agree with much of what has been said, and we've gotten a lot of correspondence. I don't know if all the councilors have. I know that some folks just send it to the whole city council, and I've tried to respond to everyone at least today. And I understand your frustration, and I know some people are very upset with the city council, thinking that we are, doing this, and, I'm speaking for myself, but I think that many of us have spoken on it, and I think that a lot of us feel the same way with this project. So I think right now the zoning board, I know many of you people are planning on showing up there, and, I think the key for people to understand that it's got to, they're looking at it to see if it's a Dover project, not if the trees are cut down and they shouldn't have been, or all those points are 100% valid, but they're not looking at any of that, or if it's sold for $1 and if it, feels backdoored or whatnot. What they're really looking at, and they're going to look at, is does this fit the criteria for the Dover? And it's as simple as that. And I think that, just to get as many of the neighbors out there and to keep it focused on that, because with that board, that is what it is going to be about. Not saying that all the other things brought up tonight don't matter, because they fully do. And if we do decide the eminent domain, or at least to start that, I would be in support of that measure as well. So I just wanted to let you guys know, we hear you, and to Dave and Joe and the gang over there, I call them the Salem and boys and girls, Nanette. Thank you for coming out, and okay, that too, but anyway,
All
I
right,
just wanted
so-
to thank them.
Thank you, and that is it for this discussion here tonight. So we'll see what happens next week and work from there. We will have this on our executive session agenda on February 17th. Doesn't mean we have to do anything, but we can at least discuss the strategy behind it, and that's what we'll do. Just one clarification from earlier, I think everybody probably does understand this, but the Dover Amendment is a state law, not a Framingham law. It applies to every municipality in the state, and it's done by the state legislature, not by us. Okay, thank you all for coming. All right. So if we have the meeting. Why don't we take a 2-minute recess here?
Our community, a unique and diverse place, founded on land granted to a farmer from England. We've produced heroes of the American Revolution and Civil War. The home of journalists, abolitionists, inventors and furniture makers, industrialists, and the entrepreneurial spirit that produces world-class products and services. A stretch of Route 9 called the Golden Mile featured international performers and headline entertainers, where groundbreaking medical treatment for our wounded warriors was developed and the most comprehensive study of cardiac care continues. The birthplace of major league competitors that fill us with local pride for our home teams, and a teacher and American icon that soared above the stars. Framingham, how do you stay informed?
Next on the agenda, Mr. Tassino. If you're going to have conversations, if you could take them out to the hall, I would appreciate it. Excuse me, Mr. Bowles.
Okay.
So next on the agenda is Mr. Tassino with a update from regarding use of some municipally owned buildings. This has been asked a few times, and the administration has agreed to bring this forward. And thank you for doing that. And Mr. Tassino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just need the PowerPoint up on the screen.
Right, okay.
My
sorry.
notes didn't print out right, and I just noticed that, so I'm going to go from the
Okay.
PowerPoint. Next page, please. Ooh, that's kind of light. So 61 Lincoln Street. This is city-owned property that's very complicated with a current 50-year lease that dates back to 1983 that was approved by town meeting. There are rental units that were at some point conduized to make the titles and the tenants even more complicated at the property. The owners and tenants had asked the previous administration sometime in 2020 or 21 to purchase the property. Previous administration put out an RFP. The appraisal came in around $2 million, and it was rejected by the owners at that time. The Stavisky administration has been actively meeting with the owners and negotiating with them since 2023. Some of the requests were agreed to verbally. Two of the things where they wanted to either reduce or do away with the pilot. We verbally agreed to that, and also reducing the rent. But the formal agreement was never executed because they had more concerns and demands. Two of the big ones were that they wanted to extend the lease an additional 50 years and kind of give themselves their own tax value, a tax classification. So we didn't agree to that, and that's pretty much where we stand right now. If nothing changes, the current lease expires, in 2033. We haven't spoken to them since then, from the last meeting with their attorney. Our solicitor's been in meetings with their attorney extensively. It's the administration of the mayor's feeling that due to the location and the area of this property, it's very valuable and a desirable property. So at this time, we don't have any interest in selling it or extending the lease by 50 years. That's my update on 61 Lincoln. Mr. Chair, do you want to take questions after each property or wait till the end?
How many properties, I'm sorry, are there?
There's about 10 or 11. This is the most
We
extensive.
could be here till 10 or 11 doing this, but it might make more sense to do it property by property. So any big questions on Lincoln Street? Mr. Cannon?
Yeah, what I'm not hearing from the administration is that we're committed to making sure that this property continues to be a medical office building serving our community. When I hear things like the administration talking about how valuable and attractive the property is for sale, I don't disagree, but are we not making it a priority meaningfully to retain it as a medical office building?
I think that paints us in a corner. I think the mayor has opinions on that. One thing, when the lease expires, they can still remain as tenants to the city. So like no one's going to get kicked out.
Right, but the issue is, and I'm happy to have this conversation. I've been trying to have this conversation since I was elected. If there's no, these owners now have an asset that they can't sell because it's becoming clearer and clearer that the asset disappears at the conclusion of the lease. So there's a lesser incentive for the owners to invest in their properties and less for the the owners of the condo association to invest in the property. So in 2033, if we make the awful mistake in stewardship of letting this just dwindle, you're going to have fewer medical providers caring for the sick in our community, which impacts what the hospital is able to do. And there's no incentive to have a robust, right now we need more people moving into that building. Metro West Medical Center is a big tenant. The VA through a sublease is a big tenant. I think it's one of the few places that provides medical care to veterans and women's medical care to veterans. When was the last time when was the last time you met with the VA? Just out of curiosity. I'm not asking for dates, but have we been building that relationship?
No.
Why not?
Because we've been dealing with an attorney, so we're not going to reach out to every tenant. Our direction was to talk to the attorney that these people hired. So it wouldn't be a good move on our part to start talking to individual tenants when we were told by this attorney, Attorney Zellwig, to deal with him. So that's why we haven't done that.
I appreciate that, and that's not necessarily a bad strategy for this particular building. But as the guy that runs the city of Framingham, as the COO, what are we doing? If the plan is to let this dwindle and just let people lose their investment and have fewer options for medical care in Framingham, what are we doing to make sure that we're lining up the VA with a different location in Framingham? I was hoping to see that you've met with them separate from their subletted interest in this building, but more so because we have an incredible obligation as stewards of the community to make sure that they're a service provider in our community, and maybe they overlap. Maybe later in this presentation, by the way, I should have made the motion, Mr. Chairman, unless there's objection, we should have made the motion that we waive Rule 11 of our council rules since this background material was submitted late.
Second.
Can we just do it by agreement?
No,
Unless there's
you have to have a roll call because of the.
But I'm going to not take that motion at this time.
Okay, as a courtesy, I'll withdraw my motion, but can we do a better job at getting things in on time? It doesn't set a good example for the people.
That's not what happened here, and you know that.
Okay, Mr. Cicino,
Spoke
can we
about
just,
it
Mr. Cicino, I'm not allowing the motion, so could we just continue?
I've withdrawn the motion, but if the guy that runs the place submits the information late, and you're required by charter to have a capital inventory that is regularly maintained, and I didn't think it would be heavy lifting to get that, it sets a bad tone for the people that work for you if we're going to be hard on them, which we will be, in submitting material late and not on the guy that they all work for. So I'll withdraw the motion, but I think the point is made. But maybe I don't know, maybe one of our other buildings makes a great home for the VA. I just don't know why we're choosing to not cultivate that relationship. I can see that there are other issues. We haven't had a VSO since last summer. I think it was only posted for some reason.
Okay, so we're talking about Lincoln Street rent right now. Mr. Cannon, do you have anything else about Lincoln Street right now?
Yes, help me understand, through perhaps the mayor, if you want to comment, why are we choosing to let this building dwindle instead of making sure that we have an option next to the hospital for medical offices?
First of all, the proposal for using it strictly as a medical office you could only enforce that if it was rezoned for that, for future use.
Would you like us to do that?
No, I'm not recommending that. I think that building is a very valuable asset for the city, and I think it would be a mistake for us to sell it at this point in time. I think we need to wait and let the lease run out, the city takes it over, and then we decide, or as we get closer to the deadline for the lease, we decide what we want to do with it. And as owners, the city, can decide what they want the use of that building to be in the future, either by rezoning the land or by a deed restriction if you decide to sell the property. You have plenty of control over it in the future. Right now, each one of those units is a condominium owned by an individual or a corporation, and the city has very little control over how that building is operated. There's a lease. They have a building manager who's related to the original lessee of the building, leaseor of the building, and they control the use of the building. They are deeply in arrears in terms of the payments they're supposed to be making to the city. We've attempted on a number of occasions to come up with a plan to try and give them some relief from those onerous restrictions that were put on the building with the original lease. They have not agreed to anything. The only position they take is they want an extension of another 50 years on the lease, which we cannot grant, and you cannot grant without some kind of special legislation. So that's not even on the table anymore, and they've rejected all of our concessions to give them relief on the money they owe us, and we're at a standstill. The city solicitor is ready to issue a letter telling them that they're in violation of the terms of the lease. And we're going to have to take some action to recoup that money, because that's money that's owed to the city.
Point of information. I have a point of information here. Does the city deal with one entity, though? I understand it's all condoized and stuff like that, but there's one person, right, there used to be a Strelke, but
It's a kid.
still
It's
is.
a family.
So why are we dealing with everybody else? Why don't we
We were dealing originally with the Board of Trustees and one representative in particular with the Board of Trustees.
Isn't one person legally responsible for the lease, the 50-year lease? Isn't not one person, isn't one entity responsible for the 50-year lease?
The Board of Trustees, who are select, the Board of Trustees who are owners of the units. It's just like
sold by the original
condominium
lessor.
Right, but I don't want to lose control here. But my question is, the city signed a 50-year lease with somebody, right?
Yep.
The city never approved the condos?
No, that's not true.
Okay, that's the answer, okay.
The city originally approved the lease for 50 years, town meeting approved it, and shortly thereafter, the person who got the lease came back to the city, and the town meeting voted to authorize him to condominiumize
Okay,
the
so that
building.
explains, thank you, that's the information I needed. All right, I'm going to, Mr. Buchanan, really brief, is your,
I'm known for that. Mr.
being
Mayor,
brief?
yes, exactly.
Go ahead.
What you're describing, though, is very common in municipalities, and it's very common in commercial leases. A town votes on this 50-year thing, and at the beginning of the 50-year lease, it makes all the sense in the world. But as you enter into the latter half of the second half, the latter chunk of the second half of the lease, all of these things don't make financial sense anymore. And the legislature in Massachusetts solves these issues all the time with municipalities. You have a meeting next week with the legislative delegation. If you wanted to do this, I believe the council would support you, because I believe there is consensus among the council that the highest and best use of the building next to our hospital is for medical providers adjacent to our hospital. That helps the hospital. It makes it more viable when they make their evaluations as a private commercial entity, but that's the highest and best use. This is the one time the guy that's been on the finance committee forever is not going to squawk about the most value financially.
I do not disagree with you at all. I think you're right. The zoning is not an issue. You have the authority to rezone it any time you want. It's the extension of the lease that we can't do without legislative action.
If you wanted to do that, I think there would be cooperation. I don't think that's a good idea, by the way, and I'll let others.
I don't. I agree with you. It's not a good
All right,
idea.
so Ms. Long, next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that I was in that building last week, frequenting it, and it's pretty busy and pretty occupied all the time. And just to back what Councilor Cannon's saying, I actually proposed or started to write a zoning amendment for that corridor to make it a hospital district. And I would not want to see that building turned into something else. I think it's too valuable as a medical use from a point of zoning. And if we needed to make a zoning job, I'd be willing to go back to the drawing board again and propose something on that Lincoln Street corridor to set that in stone so that does remain medical use. As to the lease, it blows my mind, I have to say, that the amount of activity that goes in and out of that building, because it's not like there's any vacancies in there, and it's always packed with people. Why they're in arrears? The building's in good condition from what I could see too, but I don't understand how these physicians got into arrears or why we're behind in getting paid for it. So that's a huge problem. So anyway, those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Stephanie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I won't repeat what the two previous speakers have said, but I would agree with them. I think that we need to be a little bit more collaborative in our zoning efforts and creative so that we can actually pass some zoning, because I think we have not been successful in that regard. And I think it's going to require the council to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more collaborative and a little less rigid. As to Mr. Cannon's points, I think they're right on. I'd like to just make 3 simple points and ask a question. The first is, you're correct. This happens in a lot of municipalities. The Prudential Building had this very same problem. You passed a special act of the legislature, proposed by the local council, and it's very simple. It's not that they want to set their own tax rate, but they agreed at an escalator of 2.5% 50 years ago, and it turns out that 40 years into it, it's not a good escalator because of the ups and downs of the marketplace. Mr. Artaviani shaking his head, yes. And I think we need to understand that it's not that they're deadbeats. They are, in fact, paying their rent and paying an escrow, but they can't pay the rent because it's above the market rate of what the market will bear. I respect the mayor's prerogative in terms of your thinking in terms of this building, but we share the fiduciary responsibility to be good stewards for our property. And so I would say to you, Mr. Tassino, if you're going to take the position that this building is going to remain with no changes for the next 7 years, I would expect you're going to come back to us with a plan as to how you're going to deal with the capital improvements, which are very real, because the building is not in great shape from what I've read, and there are ADA issues. If the elevator in that building goes down and there's no money for it, the VA is out of that building immediately. The other healthcare providers on the second floor are out of the building immediately. And having us stuck in legal proceedings and everything else is a problem. And so my ask is that you take a plan as to how you're going to make sure that the capital improvements that are necessary, if your decision is to wait 7 years, then I'd like to see a plan as to how we're going to get through the next 7 years without us having a crumbling building that's vacant in 7 years.
That's one of the reasons why they're behind in their payments, because they put money in a fund to keep the building updated. They have money to do the elevator, which they haven't done yet. As far as I know, the elevator is working fine, but they have money to do repairs and take care of the building.
But they have insufficient funds to take care of the building.
Well, they're putting money in that account, so last time we checked, they had a good amount of money in that account, and we'd rather have that so that in case something does go down, they have the money to fix it.
So from my standpoint, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to see a plan as to how we're going to make sure that happens.
Okay. Anything else on Lincoln Street?
Yes, just one follow-up, and I'll go last.
Go ahead, Mr. Fabiani.
You know, I frequent that building. I've gone to a few open houses there. I have a doctor there. You know, in the last session, the mayor and I, we met with Greg McFarland, and I'm going to tell you, he's the real deal. I stressed to him how important it was to have it as a medical building, and I'm not going to speak for you, Mr. Mayor, but we both thought it was very important. And we've got a CEO at that hospital now that I truly believe is the real deal. He's better than anything I've seen so far. He lives in Ashland. He's from around here. He moved back into our community. His family's here. He pretended to be a patient. He went to the emergency room. Pretty creative guy, okay, in terms of things. Going to have a second child, going to have it delivered there. Just different things like that. And they put $15 million in the infrastructure. He said he could try to get doctors to go to that building. You know, they pulled out of the building, Metro, whatever that building is across from St. Bridget's, I don't know exactly what it's called, but where they had the swim therapy. He said it got so ridiculously expensive for him, he moved out everything, but they don't have swimming, and they put it into the hospital, because half that hospital is vacant, all right, meaning they're not utilizing it. But we could get those docs and those people into that building. Councilor Long, when she is the chair of the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee going into this next meeting, I printed up on MLS every property in that zone that she proposed, if it was medical use, what it was, a two-family or one-family, because on MLS you can do that. And we looked at it. And to save the hospital and to save that building and to that use, that zone that she was proposing, she was meeting with the CEO at that time, whoever that was, because it's a different, we used to joke that you could put their name on Velcro and pull it off because they disappear and come as quick as they come and go. But I think we need to do something strategically, collaboratively, and I truly believe it needs to be hospital use or medical use. Thank you.
Okay, so, Mr. Cannon, I'm going to let you have a brief comment, then Ms. Bryant, and then we're going to be done with this. The issue is this: I'm happy to discuss 61 Lincoln Street as much as we want to, but if we're going to discuss it for an hour tonight, it's not going to be very efficient for this particular agenda item, which is to discuss 10 or 11 properties. So if there's a need or a desire to discuss this, let me know at this time at more length, then let's set it up as a separate special agenda item so we know that will be the case.
Why don't we, if I may make a motion then, or perhaps Councilor Stefanini can make the motion to come back with a plan, because I think further discussion is warranted. I'm disappointed that so far we're into this and a number of financial matters have come up that you've highlighted that are important, but they're not in the report at all. So there would be no way to know those details, and I think those details are important, so.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Wait. Ms. Bryant is next, and then, do you want to make a motion, Mr. Cannon, or not?
I'll wait.
Okay, Ms. Bryant, then Mr. Stefanini. Ms. Bryant. Okay, I guess she's not there. Mr. Stefanini?
I was thinking something similar, but I was thinking for the entire package. I would move, and we can vote this when we're done, that we refer the entire matter to the Finance Subcommittee for follow-up.
The entire matter of,
The entire report.
okay.
Second.
That way we don't have to do it on one or two or three of these. We can go through the inventory.
But allow him to continue with.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so let's continue. So let's
Last point on that, though, is that no one will move into this building. You can't get financing to move into this building. And I agree with everything that Councilor Ottaviani has said, and I'm hopeful that the current CEO is as what he appears to be. But if I'm an excited physician, I can't get financing because the unit disappears in just a few years.
So we have 11 more properties, so.
Just one more quick question. Okay.
We're going to move to the next property.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, we're beating a dead horse here. Everybody has made their comments. I understand how everybody feels. Then we just move forward.
Just to prepare for the next meeting, is it the will of the council to extend the 50-year lease?
Well, I mean, that's what was going to need a lot more discussion. I don't want to make that motion tonight. The council cannot direct the administration to do anything really as far as how they handle this building. So, I mean, if we can have a collaborative meeting about it, that would be great. If a referral to the Finance Committee is the place to do it, that tends to make some sense to me. But though things are busy at the Finance Subcommittee right now, Mr. Aviani, right?
Yeah, we're very busy, but invoking that emergency
Right, that would be-
extension bought us some time, and Councilor Malik's.
Well, we haven't invoked it yet, I'm not going to get there.
You're absolutely correct,
So-
right. We need to do that tonight, you're correct, but
I'm not sure we're going to get there, but we'll try. So let's move on.
get all night, Mr. Chair.
Yes, but it's already almost 9 o'clock, Mr. Aviani, so.
By too fast. We had a
Believe
couple
me, I know
success
once
stories.
January goes away, that short meetings go away. But, Mr. Tissino, can we go to the community center?
Community Center, the windows are being installed right now. When the roof is completed, the masonry repairs are just about done. This phase of the project should be done in a few months. Once completed, the building will be completely weather-tight and free of all hazardous materials, lead paint, asbestos, PCBs, and all that bad stuff. The Community Center Advisory Committee has broken into subcommittees to discuss the use of the spaces in the building, such as the gym, the theater, and program space, and et cetera. So some of these committees have already started doing their work on that. Except for the project signed, all the money that was expended for this project was opera money. And the building is 100,000 square feet, minutes from our downtown area.
Any questions about the community center? Mr. Cannon?
Yeah, where are we on, there's nothing here financial. This is what we've spent so far. This is what we believe it's going to cost within this range. I mean, I know there are some variables in terms of programming, but
Yeah, we don't have a firm construction number yet.
what have we spent so far?
I've sent that multiple times to the council, but we spent the 12 million of opera funds. I can resend the same spreadsheet that I've sent before.
Well, why would you, when you're doing an update for everybody and for the public, I mean, do we have a time frame on when we anticipate that this is going to be open and what we believe that this is going to cost?
No,
At the first, I mean, a year, 3 years, 5 years, ever?
I don't know.
Okay. I appreciate your candor.
Ms. Feeney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, Mr. Tissino. I really appreciate that this is coming, that we're having this discussion, and I just don't know where to begin. On the October 15th meeting of the advisory committee, the architect showed proposed floor plans and drawings. Is there a reason, an editorial decision, why this was not included in this report today?
Because the subcommittees want time to take his drawings and think about the program space, the gym space, the theater space. So we're not ready to discuss what the interior of the building will be, how it will be laid out.
I think, as somebody who was at that meeting, I think it is also helpful for people to get an idea of what's inside that building or what the possibilities are. Look, I'm very supportive of a community center. I believe we need one in this community, especially for our youth. I'm very concerned about our younger generations, but I do not see the sense of urgency or a plan when it comes to this. And it is one of the #1 questions that I think all of us are getting about what is going on with the old Marion High building. So with the architect showing some initial plans, I find it very hard to believe that there is no sense of what a budget could be. Now, I understand that the subcommittees are doing their work, but no architect, and I've been involved, through my work with some of these with projects like this, no architect doesn't have a base idea of what a project could look like.
Sorry.
I like hearing myself in echo. Thank you, Chair. So I'm very concerned that we do not even have a basis. And then in the mayor's State of the City address last week, he says that we're going to look for grants. Love it. But how do we know that we're going to look for grants if we don't know what the project is going to cost? And what grants are we looking at, especially with the federal government, if we're looking at federal grants, that money is disappearing all the time? This committee has been meeting for 2 years. And my next question about the committee is, the membership of that committee is dwindling. I've been to several meetings and people are not showing up. There's like 25 people and they're not there. Is there any thought about reconstituting this group so that it is actually something that is more manageable? And people who I know who are on that committee have stopped showing because they don't feel that their opinions or thoughts matter and that this project is moving too slowly. So that's that question. And what do the next 6 months look like? When are we going to see, we've talked about a strategic plan for 61 Lincoln. I think we're going to want plans for all of these. But what does the next 6 months look like for this project? Again, I'd love to see this project. I want to see a community center, but I'm really frustrated, and I'm not the only one. So what does the next 6 months look like?
Well, going back to the beginning, the past year, we had told everybody, we told the public, we told the committee that the first year was going to move very slowly because we had all this work to do. And the architect at the time was focused on the demolition, the abatement, and all the hazardous material, and the roof and the windows and so forth. So everybody knew from day one, the first year was going to drag on without a lot of assignments and work from the architect as far as the interior layout. We are at that point right now. The committees have formed, and they're going to talk about what they think the interior should look like for program space, present it to the mayor, and we'll go from there. Within 6 months, we'll probably have an estimate, a construction estimate, and a good layout of what the building's going to look like on the inside.
Can I just say, I believe that Framingham can walk and chew gum at the same time. And I'm really sorry that we lost that year where we could have been having a better dialogue and discussion. You had a survey go out. I'd still love to see the raw data of that survey instead of a press release of just high-level things. But that conversation was being had, and we should have been having it better. So moving forward, I really would like to see something in 6 months by July 1st of a concrete plan and a vision. I just feel that Framingham has too many properties that doesn't know what they want to do with it, and there's not a plan for anything, and this is the most unwieldy one that just have, it's just very frustrating. So please, 6 months, that would be great.
Ms. Long, then Ms. Malik, then Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, my question is, you spent $12 million on ARPA funds for doing remediation, demolition windows. What's remaining on ARPA? Anything?
Did she say what's remaining?
ARPA is remaining.
ARPA funds. Is there any, are ARPA funds remaining? Or are they all expended?
About $300,000.
Yeah, because I know those have to be spent by 12/31 of this year. Secondly, I have to echo the response of the former counselor as far as, I'm surprised there's no conceptual plans or different types of conceptual plans. Have there been any of them from the architect? Because typically when you're going into a building that you're doing demolition on and you're repurposing it, you generally, the buildings I'm working on, we have conceptual plans, 3-4 different concepts that get vetted for final, to be finally put into play and advertised for bid. So I'm just curious, has there been any discussion about conceptual plans at all or any drafts?
We do. We have draft conceptual plans. That's what the subcommittees are working with right now.
Right, so maybe you would like to share those at some point so that that would ease some of the concerns of other counselors. But, like I said, typically when you're in a building, you have an architect, and if you ask for them to come up with a plan, they can come up with one pretty quick on different concepts, given the type of use that you're going to repurpose this building for. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Ms. Malik?
Thank you. So I want to echo the strong desire for a community center in Framingham. I very much think that that's a need that that people want, that families want. I think there's so much potential for having a space, a community space. And when I think about other community centers and rec centers, I just think when you walk in, there's the public-private partnership model, and that just seems to be predominant in so many of them. And I'm curious, a lot of these slides show the EDC being involved. And to me, getting them involved in building this out with some sort of build out of a public-private model just makes sense to me in my head. So maybe that's just something you can think out of. I don't think it's realistic to have this be fully grant funded. I just don't see that in the current climate to be realistic. So.
Mr. Wood.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to comment and say I have serious concerns about the long-term operation, the long-term plans for the project, as well as the operationalizing of it and operating the building itself. I don't think grants is a really reasonable way to fund the project on at least the majority of it. So it's either going to be our funds or it's going to be state funds or federal funds. It's not going to be federal funds anytime soon. And so in some ways, and I hate to say this, it might be reasonable for us to think about what are other reasonable uses for the building, and or how can we break the building up into a number of different uses. And so I guess the biggest question for me there is what restrictions exist for the city based on the usage of the ARPA funds. I assume there's only limited uses the building could be used for now, unless I'm wrong, but maybe that's a question or a discussion for the finance subcommittee to have when this conversation continues. But I mean, if we're talking about a $30 million project, that's all. I think that's probably what the number is going to look like.
Okay, anything, Mr. Cannon?
Is there a Mr. Giambetti voice coming out of you, Mr. Chairman? I'll be quick. I thought when we had this conversation that if there were any opportunity for you to shine and really wow the council and the community, it would be talking about the community center. And I actually really thought that when the materials came in late, because I knew that some of the renderings were, I really expected to feel better about this. I echo everything that everybody has been said, particularly what Councilor Ward just referenced in terms of other opportunities. I mean, this was a Catholic school. Another Catholic school just opened in Framingham. It's the Chesterton Academy of the Immaculata, I think is called. I don't know what I'm sure the mayor's office has met with them, a new school opening in the community. I don't know what their needs are, but I think they're leasing space now. I'm not suggesting that there's a fit there, but I think it's clear that we've bitten off more than we can chew. We don't have a plan because one is not being articulated now, and I don't think it's a case of things being omitted, and I think it's unfair to talk about a subcommittee of volunteers. People stop showing up to meetings because they feel that they don't have a voice or what they're working on doesn't have a future, and I think that's telling. And I think looking at other uses, having backup plans is important. The number that I have in my head, and I haven't had the opportunity to go back in to watch the meeting, I could have sworn the council, and we were probably a little too enthusiastic and maybe a little too careless in approving this, but I think the number we had was like $17 million in terms of the total expenses. And, you know, you get to, I could be wrong there. I haven't had a chance. Well, you shouldn't shake your head. You should know what you told us it was going to cost.
You don't remember it, I don't remember it, so.
I'm not paid to run the project, Mr. Tassino. You're the chief operating officer of the city of Framingham, coming to update the council on the community center and the other buildings that you take care of. So I think.
I'd have to do the same as you, look back on my notes and see what was said. I don't remember.
Well, I wish you had been more prepared. But my point in sharing this is the delta that continues to rise between what the council and community was told in terms of forecasting the cost and the investment we'd have to make and what it has ballooned to. I don't think because of things like supply chain, I mean, there's some of that's true, but the differences are just so vast. And we just haven't been good stewards as a city in getting this done. So I'd like us to start carefully thinking about some backup plans. As this gets referred to the Finance Subcommittee, I'd like you to include a couple of things came up. The materials that Councilor Feeney had referenced, as well as the raw data of the whatever survey that was. I think that's important to include without objection. When the motion gets made, if we could incorporate that. That's all I have on this, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Bryant?
And I will be quick. I just wanted to say all the comments I think were very good to hear and to be considered. But Mr. Tassino, what I wanted to know, so it was a large committee from the very beginning. And often when you want to have, widespread input to make sure all areas are represented, you want all of that consensus, that it does take longer because different people are thinking about different things. But also I want to know, it was an old building. So you warned them, or they were warned, that the first year would be what, like logistics, prepare some like necessary things for the building, or what? Like what's the project in terms of like stages? So first, are you guys dealing with like, windows, roofs, and masonry and things like that, and then and all the subcommittees are going to come back with their vision, or kind of, proposing what a vision would be back to the larger committee, and then they will discuss that? Or have those things been going on simultaneously? And I will say this, the money, in terms of grants or not grants, at the time, I think that a lot of residents would not have been in favor of expending, like the city paying for all of it at the time. So I think grants was like, the first idea. But now, of course, given the state, the political climate in with the federal government and whatnot, that may not be feasible. But what are your next steps, or what are the next steps for this community center or that building? What in the timeline?
So if I understood your question, so the project started, we kind of formed the advisory committee and hired an architect right about the same time. And we started having some advisory committee meetings, and there really wasn't much to talk about because the architect hadn't started his work on what had to be demoed, identifying the hazardous materials inside the building, and doing an evaluation, a structural evaluation. And, let's not forget the building in the back that had to be torn down. So at the same time, when the committee started, everybody was very excited. It was a very exciting project, but there wasn't much to do because the architect was busy planning the demo and what had to be taken out of the building. So I did caution everybody at the very beginning, in the first year or so, was going to go slow because the architect doesn't have time to come up with concept plans because he's working on the structural stability of the roof and what has to be done to the roof and the windows and the hazardous material abatement. So that's how it started, and it did start slow, and everybody knew that. Going forward, hopefully within the next 6 months, the committees will finish their work. We'll meet with the architect. He'll have some floor plan layouts, and we'll be going in the right direction.
All right, thank you. And then just one thing about the Lincoln Building, because my computer...
No, we're all done with the Lincoln Building, Ms. Bryant. I did call on you. Okay.
I know, my computer went down.
I understand.
It's fine. I'll get my information later.
Thank you. The former Saxonville Library.
Former Saxonville Library. There's ongoing discussions about moving our facilities department out of there and into the community center. So when the community center opens, there'll be a presence of staff in there all the time. And this would free up the building for sale or lease. We need to start discussions about if we want to sell it, or lease it, what the value of it is, and so forth.
Anything on the Saxonville Library, Mr. Ward?
It seems really far away, but I guess we'd just ask when we get closer to any decision being made about the building that we engage a community process, which I assume you would, but just wanted to flag that.
I would suggest we try to find a place quicker than maybe the community center would be utilized, because I just think that building is very underutilized at this point. And I mean, as you know, Mr. DeCina, I never thought I never thought it should have been used in the manner it was.
I didn't know it was being used at the time, way back in the day, but we are looking into an alternate place for the facilities department also.
And what is the time frame on that? What's the square footage of the building? What are some of the other uses that have been discussed even informally? It is a great asset.
We haven't gotten that far.
To know the square footage of the building?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
That's why we asked you months ago, twice, to come back and give us an update as required by charter, the capital inventory.
This isn't
I'm
what
not
you
asking-
asked. You didn't ask for a capital inventory update. You asked for an update on 61 Lincoln Street
Okay.
in the
let's just-
community center.
Please.
Well, then why, that's just not accurate. Would you furnish the
I
capital
believe it's,
inventory?
I believe it's about 30,000 square feet, if my ancient memory from being a library trustee is correct. Does that sound?
30,000?
I believe it's 30,000. Is that too big?
So that sounds high. I'll look it up in a
Maybe
second.
it does
though.
sound high. I thought we put a 10,000 square foot addition on when I was a library trustee, but maybe I'm wrong. It was a long time.
I can look it up when I'm done with
I'm
this
probably wrong. Maybe it
presentation.
was like 3,000 and 1,000. Who knows? Okay, it's the Saxonville intersection. Yeah, right.
Zero.
I have some recollection of that. Maybe it's half of that. I don't know. But we did put an addition on that wasn't that small, I don't think. But
I'll find out.
Can I just follow up on that? In the course of now into the second term, where this has been used, I agree improperly as, I don't even know what facilities does there, if it's just offices or if it's a carpentry shop or what's going on there. There's been no consideration within the mayor's office as to what the highest and best community use would be of what used to be the most, among the most public assets that we have, a library? Nothing informally, no brainstorming? I mean,
We've thought about it, but there's nowhere to put them yet. We haven't found a place to move the facilities department, so.
as you recall, the facilities department took the building by eminent domain.
I remember you know, when you're running facilities, you get keys to
Right.
everything.
So, anyways.
What's the time frame on you making that decision whether or not they're going
It
to?
looks like it's 5,000 square feet or 6,000, so therefore we must have put a 1,000 square foot addition on, not a 10,000 square foot addition.
When do you anticipate making the decision whether or not they're going to move to the union?
I don't think we can make that decision for at least 6 months. We see how the community center's progressing along, because that would be the best spot to move them to.
Was this part of the initial plan of the community center to house facilities?
It was one of our first ideas, yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you, Mr. Chair, point of information, did you get the same text I did from Mr. Paolini, 5,600 square feet?
No, I got Mr. Stefanini looked it up on his.
Okay, yeah, I texted Jimmy Paolini, I got it in 2 minutes, okay.
Things always seem bigger when you're younger than they are when you're older. Anyways, it was. It seemed very big.
Saxonville intersection, there was ongoing discussions and negotiations and land swap in order to create more area and a better traffic flow. We're working on the design, but until we can get some definite commitments on swapping some land and working with the owner of the mill, we're not ready to move forward with that yet. Design work is still underway.
And just one follow-up, is there a particular, I think this is the only intersection that's been referenced in your plan, just why include this one, and there are other, help me understand why this one you chose.
It's a big project.
And it includes a public building potentially, so.
Yeah.
We've been talking
There are no
about-
other public buildings referenced, what are you, maybe I'm not familiar with what you're
Some
talking
private land that can be swapped.
about. You're talking about the pump station as well?
Yeah.
None of this is in the report. I'm not trying to be
Because
difficult.
it's preliminary. That's what the title was, preliminary. We're not there yet.
The word preliminary is not on the slide at
The
all.
beginning of it.
All right. Anything else in the Saxonville intersection?
Could we get some information about the details of it?
Have you guys had a chance, I mean, there was a public meeting held by Charlotte recently, just I know she's moving forward hopefully with the demo of 1639 Concord. I know there are a number of regulatory approvals and permits she needs to get to that point. I remain concerned that we're just like not moving quick enough for with the project. And I know there are reasons that it's getting held up. I know the city wants to get some better design work done before you get too far along with maybe potentially the swap, whatever the conversation is about the potential acquisition of the property. Have you guys met with her recently? How are we trying to keep this moving?
I think the mayor met with her.
She's in the process of getting an appraisal of the pump house. So she knows how much it's going to cost to tear it down and come up with a plan to equalize the value between the pump house and the house on the corner of Danforth Street and Concord Street.
And do we have a sense of when she'll have that information or when we'll have that information?
It's underway now. I don't know when
Underway
it's
now.
going to be done.
Okay. Okay. I guess to reiterate, I guess I keep repeating myself, but it's a really important project for the district, and it's already been on the docket for 10 years. I don't want it to be 11. So, okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else on Saxville intersection? And the next slide, which is the pump house and the former fire station. Any questions about any of those things?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just because these are all fall in my district, once again, I've been really involved with Friends of Saxonville. These are projects that that group and many in the community have been really involved in. People really care about the buildings and want to be involved in the decision-making about whatever happens next with them. So maybe a partnership with the EDC could work, but I think there's a lot of details that would need to be fleshed out. And so just, once again, the same with the old Saxonville Library, the old McAuliffe Library, that I hope the community, and I'm happy to be a part of that and leading it, is really engaged thoughtfully in any decision made on them. So, thank you.
Mr. Cannon.
Is there an interest in the plan that was raised to put a central, just help me understand what I guess it's more the vision thing, and maybe the request wasn't specific enough, but I kind of wanted to leave it broad to give you an opportunity to shine on all the things you've been working on for the assets in our community. And some of these are things that I thought we would have conquered in 2018, but is the EDC still interested, or did they cross this off the list? If so, is this one of the things that in the next couple of months is going to be requested to be transferred to their ownership, or what's the plan here? And have any numbers been crunched even preliminarily to get a sense of what the economic value would be on whatever you have in mind as the vision for these properties?
I haven't spoken with anybody on the EDC. I think they asked for a meeting with the mayor in the very near future to talk about these properties that they're interested in.
Okay.
I don't know what their exact interest is, if it's in the Athenaeum or the fire station. We haven't gotten that far with the EDC.
Well, I've been at most of the meetings, and some of the discussion has happened, but I thought this was the property that I could be wrong, though, but I thought maybe in the course of preparing for this presentation before the city council about municipal assets, I don't know, maybe having some detail there would be helpful. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is the downtown parking garage.
So we had an executive session in December about our next steps. We are following through with those steps. Negotiations are going very well. And I think in the very near future, we'll be in front of the council to talk about the bonding of the project and taking ownership to the property. So I think you'll see something in the very near future on that.
Anything, Mr. Ottaviani?
When you say bonding and taking ownership, what do you mean by taking ownership? You own it.
No, we don't. The property.
Garage?
Pearl Street.
No, this isn't Pearl Street.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
This is the potential location.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Anything else on this?
Sorry.
Okay, the next two slides have to do with the memorial building, so we can do them together.
So we have the restroom renovations and the ADA counter project. We have two separate architects working on these. They're about 80 to 90% complete, and the projects can go out to bid pending approval of the capital project. Both of these will be on the capital project submission.
Mr. Stefanini?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an area I'd like to see us be more aggressive in terms of renovation and what we do. The Memorial Building is the seat of our government. It's where we come together. Mr. Mayor, I think you've done a nice job activating the building, whether it's wrestling or other things. With a little bit of money and effort, I would be shocked if we couldn't do more of that sort of thing. And so I know we're tight for money and everything else, but this is an area that I would ask you to think about the things you're asking for, plus some other things, because this is our home. It's all of our home, and it's where we come together to celebrate. It's where we come together to figure out what we're going to do on zoning or whatever else. So that's my ask.
Anything else about Ms. Malik?
Thank you. I just quick clarifying question. When you say separate architectural firms, does that mean that you've engaged one architectural firms on the restroom renovations and a separate one on the ADA counters?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Cannon.
So is that the same architectural firm that's doing the work for the community center?
No.
Help me understand, I mean, I don't know this world as well as you do. I would think that maybe there's a firm that would love to compete for more of our business as a municipality, and maybe we get a better deal doing, kind of centralizing that instead of doing 3 different firms for, I mean, one's a big project, but the other 2 are simple. Help me understand just the thought
Well,
process
there's
there.
procurement laws that we have to follow, so if the contract's going to be over a certain amount, $50,000, we have to put an RFP out, so.
But you can phase in, okay. Other communities seem to find ways of working with firms more on a relationship basis, it seems. But, okay, we haven't gone down that road. All right.
Have to be bid on.
What's the long-term vision, I guess, beyond the ADA stuff, which I think is great, and the restroom renovations? Do we have enough space? Do we not have enough space? Are we, other communities are using technology to reduce headcount. We haven't done that if there's a plan to combine some responsibilities with school, like IT or HR or whatever it may be. I thought one of your answers on moving facilities from the old McAuliffe Branch Library was perhaps to consider moving them in with wherever schools houses their building and grounds department. That didn't come up. So what's kind of the long-term vision of this building? Is it?
We have enough square footage here in this building for our staff. Again, if we had our druthers, the facilities department would go to Marion, because once that building gets going, it's going to be very active, and we're going to need our staff in that building to take care of it and keep an eye on it. So that's our vision. As far as the vision for this building, the mayor thought that if we can get these bathrooms ADA compliant, so you don't have to travel transverse floors to go to the bathroom, we can open up Nevins Hall to more venues and rent it out, and more groups could use it.
Okay. Anything in terms of making it easier for residents of the community to do business? Things like that I'd like to hear more about. Not necessarily tonight. I think we're hammering you with some questions, and I don't mean to throw so much at you. But maybe as this discussion, because I feel like we've heard about some of this stuff with this building for a while, but not much more beyond kind of, well, we're thinking about, well, what are we thinking exactly?
Well, you'll hear about it soon, but a big piece of engagement and getting people to come in this building is going to be that parking garage. So it frees up a lot of spaces out back, and people have a place to park.
Terrific. I was hoping as part of this, and maybe it's coming in the Pearl Street garage piece, of moving some of the municipal employee, I don't know what your ideas are to make parking before the garage here is available, relining the lot, things like that to make it easier. I mean, it's
Before the garage gets built?
Yeah.
We have an excellent plan on that, but I really don't want to talk about it. We talked about it in executive session. Maybe in a couple of weeks, hopefully in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, we'll be in front of you with our full request, and you'll see again that we have an excellent temporary parking plan if we can get your vote on that purchase.
I don't recall the excellent plan, but I look forward to hearing
It was
about it.
very excellent.
I can't wait. I love an excellent plan. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Bryant?
Yes, I just wanted to state that in terms of not having the same firm that is doing the community building or company, working on the memorial building and other projects, I want to be very clear that I think that is good. That is the better way. I think it's a better process that way. I think it's a better look. And besides that, process-wise, I think it is better not to be commingling those. I do agree with Council Stefanini's comments and, ask for the memorial building. It is the seat of our government. It is in the center of town where it should be. And I just, so I'm very bullish on what we do with that. It's kind of sacred to us also. So whatever, the wishes, whatever can be done, the sooner the better is great. But please do keep the bids open and diversified as opposed to commingling. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on this? Memorial Building roof? Memorial Building roof.
Yeah, so the roof is about 90% complete. We're just waiting for some flashing and trim to complete it. The weather's been not on our side, but it is on time and on budget. And the employees that work on the second floor, including the mayor, can look forward to all the banging and noise will be stopping very soon.
Okay. Anything? Okay. For the next would be the former Hollis Street Fire Station.
Yeah, so our legal department is working on an issue. I really can't get into it right now. We will need an executive session with the council to discuss this. We're not ready for that yet. And unrelated to that, the EDC has expressed interest in acquiring this property also.
Okay. Ms. Malik.
That is surprising and concerning that they might be interested in acquiring the property when there's a community group there that's actively engaging the local community and working with them. And I mean, last summer I was involved in some conversations with the legal department and their legal and sort of what the issues are. So I guess I'm a little surprised to hear that hasn't been resolved since last summer. I guess I naively maybe stopped paying close attention to it. So I look forward to talking more about it. But there's a group there actively programming and working with the community. So it's just surprising to me that the EDC is interested in acquiring it.
That ultimately will be our decision, but we want to, talk to the EDC, listen to what they have to say. I think there's a meeting coming up soon, in a couple of weeks with some of their people, so.
I thought the group that leased it went out of business.
No. So.
Excuse me, Ms. Moran, I'm asking Mr. DeCino.
Someone,
Right, I'm sorry.
they did leave, and there's another tenant in there, but we're working on that.
Is anyone paying rent yet?
They pay $1 a month. I think,
$1 a year.
a year.
Well, that's not what the lease calls for, though, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I thought the lease was a market value lease to the former arts place.
$1 a year.
When did that happen? Because that was originally leased at a higher amount of money, or there was some value, because at one point, the
Part of the
former...
lease agreement was that they were supposed to make some capital repairs into the parking lot, into the building. And the former administration let that lapse and gave credit to that, so they didn't have to pay.
Because at one
into
point, the former administration had come to us and stated that the former organization was like $90,000 in debt or something to us. And the former administration waived that money? Oh, I never knew that. I guess that's why you heard nothing else about
They
it.
restructured the payment. They restructured
Oh,
it.
restructured. So when was it paid?
The restructuring has a long-term limit to it.
So how long is the lease, as Mr. Aviani asked?
How do you restructure it?
Be
dollar a
dead.
year?
We won't be
this is-
here.
This is the $90,000 part.
I would
that was
caution you
restructured.
not to get too far into this discussion in public, because that's a subject of an executive session we
Oh,
want to
sorry.
have.
I'm sorry. Is the length of the lease, is that something that can be discussed publicly, or is that all related to the issue?
It's all related.
Okay. You can all ask questions just with that caution. So we'll go to Mr. Cannon first, and Ms. Feeney.
Thank you. Do we have a time frame on that executive session? I've been hearing rumblings about a future executive session for months.
I thought it would have happened by now, but we're still waiting for our legal department to
That's fine.
tighten up a few
It
loose
sounds like
ends.
you're on top of it, so I appreciate that. My concern about, though, is we've heard now about only former fire stations, and there's nothing in this report at all about our existing fire stations and how they relate to future needs. What's going on there? Why did we choose to omit all of our fire stations from our capital inventory here?
Our active fire stations or the inactive ones, like the one in Saxonville and this one? Is that what you're
Well, you
asking?
touched on the inactive ones, but you haven't mentioned at all our existing ones, where they are in their life cycle, what,
My opinion, or my understanding of this meeting was not to give a 5-year capital plan. It was to give an update. The only properties that were mentioned at the last meeting were 61 Lincoln Street and the community center.
I think in fairness, that we did ask for the buildings we've been talking about, not the entire list of buildings.
I mean, we left it broad, but I guess, even just help me understand it.
Probably too broad, actually, as I'm learning.
Apparently too broad, but like, why would we not, we included an intersection, which I sort of get, but we didn't mention that in any depth. But to me, this report tells me, and I left it broad for a reason. Yes, we talked about some specific case study examples, but I left it broad to kind of get a sense of where your priorities were. It's sort of like when HR didn't mention the Veterans Department at the Finance Committee. It was an interesting observation. You've chosen not to include our fire stations and I don't know, the Cushing Memorial Chapel and where the leases are with the History Center on things like I wanted to get a sense of our portfolio and what the vision was. And I think my question was perhaps too broad, but broad enough, but narrow enough that it conveyed what I was asking and what I was looking to get an understanding of where the administration was thinking about our portfolio of assets. I didn't ask for your 5-year capital plan. That's not what I was looking for. But you developed the 5-year capital plan by getting a sense of what your priorities are. And if this is it doesn't show a lot of depth. So help me understand what I'm.
So I was asked last Tuesday night at 8:30 through an email to do this, and the request was very broad. I told your staff that I wouldn't have time to do it. I would do my best, and I would not have the background information available till this weekend. This is a result of last-minute requests. I did the best I could putting this together on Saturday and Sunday. I don't mind working on Saturday and Sunday, but you got to give us more time.
Well, Mr. Tessina, respectfully, and I and my colleagues, most of us have to work full-time jobs before we have the privilege of representing this community here in the City Council chamber, and we're privileged to do so, but everyone is pulled in a lot of different directions. This did not come up for the first time in the time. This has been asked about broadly for months and months and months, and frankly, as the Chief Operating Officer and Acting Chief Financial Officer of the City of Framingham, some of this stuff I would expect you to kind of know off the top of your head. I'm not trying to pepper you with too many questions, but we're asking about kind of priorities for our buildings and whatnot. Fire doesn't come up. I don't know about things that maybe aren't getting to our attention. Maybe we should start thinking about the thing that's been discussed about getting some of the grant money that comes from getting the Cushing Memorial Chapel put on the National Register of Historic Place. I don't know what's on your radar, but this was a great opportunity to share with us. And to me, I'm feeling the presentation like we're just not being good stewards. And we share that responsibility equally per the charter, but it just doesn't sound, there's just not a lot of depth here. And in maintaining our capital inventory, it's not like you've been here for years as the Chief Operating Officer. None of this should have, all of this information and more should have been readily available if you're keeping track of it.
I guess the depth of the question wasn't that great either.
Square footage of a building that you...
No, the depth of what properties you want to talk about.
Okay.
All right, if we could just move on. Ms. Feeney.
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you had a question.
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Ms. Bryant.
What I would like to say is while I welcome the executive session, I would caution us and ask publicly that we do not vote in that first executive session, and also that we would have a public hearing to allow the public to really know what we're doing, and not so that it doesn't become a clandestine process whereby someone who wants to turn the old fire station that is used for programming and shares the space for various organizations for programming, community programming, especially for the children, to make better citizens, better students, and just to better, residents of Framingham who learn how to be a part of the process of, Framingham, how to utilize City Hall and just, access the benefits of being a resident of Framingham and enjoy the downtown area. But I know that there's been a lot of noise. A resident who wants to turn it into a bar and music venue, although he acknowledges that there are plenty of those, there's plenty of those in that downtown area, but this would be ownership. But I would caution us that the look and the statement made by the person was that he was a friend of a high official, and that's who he contacted. So we want to tread very carefully so as not to make a decision that would leave us open to both criticism and possible litigation in terms of any kind of unfair practices. And also that dollar, lease fee and all like that, that was put in place quite a while ago. It wasn't a new thing that was started by the current organization that is in there now, that was just put in there for them. And that building is used heavily to better that community. And it has helped, they clean up over that area. They have safeguarded the park, the Arlington Park over there, and helped to make it a safer area for women and other people who get off work very late and have to walk down those streets. And, we have other programs down there that, could be scary to people sometimes getting off late and having to walk down those streets. But I would say, so far it's been proven to be a peaceful and beneficial asset. So let us be careful and really look at all sides of the issue.
Okay, so that's for a future meeting. I would just say, when it was a performing arts center, I think it was very good. I've not heard the rumors that Ms. Bryant refers to about that, though I would say Ashland has done a nice job with their prior fire station in that regard. So hopefully we have some, good uses for it. I don't know what they are at this time, but I'd be looking forward to hearing about it. Anybody else on this one? All right, there's one member of the public. I only see the name Janelle. Given the title there, go ahead and let's see what we can do here, but we might have to restrict this conversation.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Great. My name is Janelle Codiani. I'm the former executive director of Amazing Things Art Center, which was rebranded as ATAC. And I serve as the current board chair for the organization that continues to exist there. So the former organization, Amazing Things, rebranded as ATAC, is still an active organization. We facilitated a merger, but it was truly an acquisition. And so, it's the same EIN, same mission. There's still performances and public community creative engagement activities happening there. So it's not true that the organization is gone. It just rebranded, which it had done multiple times over its course. One other point is that the lease from 2007 is a 50-year lease for $1 a year. There were $500,000.
So I don't want to get into the lease, okay, because we just heard that we might have to hear this in an executive session, so.
Yeah, but these are just public documents that are stated, and there are mistruths happening here. And this current city council, like many members who are sitting here, approved the repayment of the $60,000 for the parking lot paving at $5,000 a year with, it's true, a scheduled amortization, and that was approved in this council. So I just wanted to make sure that those points were recorded and that people had accurate information.
Okay, thank you. I don't remember that, so thank you. Okay, next would be the Pearl Street Garage.
So,
I hate these people.
private developer has shown interest in purchasing the property, and the Economic Development Corporation has also shown some interest in acquiring this property. Again, we have a meeting coming up with some of the members of the EDC, not all of them, and we can get more detail on what their plan may be.
Mr. Stefanini.
Thank you. My only comment on this is this is a matter of urgency. It's important for us for economic development, and I think that corner If you look at our downtown, there are a couple of pockets outside of our downtown that are ripe for development, and we could certainly use some economic activity. That whole Pearl Street corridor is among those, and this asset could make a big difference there. Timing is of the essence. Whatever you're going to do, let's move it along. Let's not discuss this for a few years. That's my only comment.
Could I ask you a question?
Please.
So the EDC has eminent domain power, so couldn't they just?
They do not have eminent domain powers. They have eminent domain powers if the council gives it to them.
Okay.
And the eminent domain against a city is not likely to be upheld.
Okay, Mr. Cannon?
Any financial detail? What is it costing us to operate? Are there revenues to speak? Any financial highlights?
No.
There are no revenues?
There are. We rent some spaces out for commuters, but I don't have those numbers with me.
Okay. I think the point has been made about preparation, but boy, is it disappointing that you ask about what's going on with the property. You decided to include this one, but very basic information has been omitted.
Mr. Vianney?
Yeah, I park by that garage when I go frequent Bronzetti's. It's a mess. And one person's expressed interest. I think we need to really seriously look at doing an RFP, do whatever you got to do. Get somebody, if it's not the EDC, to buy the property, but somebody that's going to buy into the city of Framingham. You got 3 or 4 people that would be ripe for the pickings, and we all know who they are. You know, they all own property in the area. Who's got maybe not the most property, but who could use that to revitalize and stimulate our downtown? And it just, we've
Hear,
talked
hear.
about it as long as I've been around, and I've been around a long time. And it's just that garage, it's just deteriorated so much. One day my daughter wanted to park there when she was picking up the pizzas. I said, don't park in that garage. Park behind Bronzetti. Don't go in the garage. And it needs some TLC, but the right person that owns property, and there's 3 or 4 different folks that own property down there, that will give it the highest and best use and make a commitment to the city of Framingham, what they're going to do for us, not what we're going to do for them, because there's too many of the guys looking for what we're going to do for them. That should be a no-brainer. That should be easy for you guys to get done, and we can utilize it, make it work for the public, the private partnership, and make it work. So that's all I have to say.
You're being generous to say it needs a little TLC.
Oh, my God, I told my daughter not to park in it, okay?
fix her up.
And frankly, in fairness, it's been in rough shape for many, 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 many years. I can't believe people are even allowed to go in it anymore, to be honest with you. And, it is, I do think we have to be cognizant of the fact that, we own a significant eyesore in an area that could potentially be renovated. I mean, not renovated, but the new apartment building over there looks nice, so at least bring people into the neighborhood, and hopefully the neighborhood overall can be,
Revitalized.
yes, revitalized, and, we'll see what happens. But I think until we resolve our problem there, it's going to be really hard to do.
Amen.
All right. So that's the list of buildings. So first of all, Donna?
While she's getting up, can I just ask one quick
Oh,
follow-up?
sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I meant to ask this in this building. I think it's been since resolved, but I guess when they were doing some maintenance in one of the ladies' rooms, I happened to be in our office, which I guess there's a pipe that feeds it, and I noticed it was remarkably cold, rather. No one was complaining about it except me noticing that it was cold. Has that been resolved? Is there now heat in the city council office in this building?
I believe so. No one told me that there was an issue. Was the heat not working, or?
I don't work in that office day to day, but I would.
It was a little chilly last week, but,
Mr. Tessino, it'll take more than a little bit of cold temperatures to scare us away.
Maybe Ms. Kelly could answer it.
Steam heat is very
Try not to
difficult.
put her on the spot.
I know, but she's the one person that has the answer.
Do you wear sweaters in there?
Right.
Is there a
Space
problem?
heat is under her legs, or in the under the desk. I apologize the way.
Yeah, we have no heat. From what I understand, facilities is doing some work on Thursday to rectify that. They
Okay.
come every day to fix it.
So there's no heat in the city council, where it happens to be in the city council office. Could we find out if there are other, that's a massive OSHA problem if we're not careful. And no, it would never have been brought up had I not been the princess that noticed it was cold in our office. But can we make sure that the temperature, and it's been very cold, and you know, it's very cold. Can we make sure that there are no other, since you didn't know about this one, could you just check that out in the course of making sure that every room in the building is where we expect it to be in terms of temperature? Thank you.
Okay, so I did put this on the agenda because we have been talking about it for a long time, and I'm sorry for that. We probably bit off more than we could chew at one particular time. So I'm sorry, I forgot about Donna behind you.
What's that?
I forgot about Donna behind you.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Donna, please.
Donna Kilcoyne Orthifer, District 1, Appledore Road. The one thing that was a huge takeaway from listening to all this back and forth about the different properties is missed opportunity. I think there's so many missed opportunities in a lot of these properties, missed revenue, and I can only imagine if we had done better planning years ago with some of these properties that we would not be having the shortfall that we have right now with the school budget. So really unfortunate, and I hope that we have a better plan, and I hope 6 months from now we have a better plan. Thank you.
Okay, so I think there's a motion on the table to refer this to the Finance Subcommittee. I think that probably makes sense. I think it's obviously going to take a lot of time to go through all these, so I'll leave that to Mr. Ottaviani to figure out how they're going to try to do that. I appreciate the administration bringing it forward. So the motion would be to refer this entire report to the Finance Subcommittee for further study.
Yes. He made it, I seconded it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do the roll call. Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander, are you still with us? Okay, Mr. Ottaviani?
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Lean Bruno?
Yes.
Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Okay, so that's refund. Okay,
Did you get me, George?
I did get you in the middle.
All right.
I heard your,
Longhorn, yes.
heard your big longhorn yes in the middle of the
Yes,
vote.
a lot more, yes.
Okay, next is upon request of the Finance Subcommittee, the council, we did make it before 10 o'clock, Mr. Ottaviani, barely, that the council waive its rules to allow, well, let me read that again. It's not really waiving our rules, it's really inserting a charter petition or position, I believe, right?
Unless there's objection, we would have to waive our rules, but there would have to be objection to have a vote on it. So the first part of that,
Oh,
because
yes.
it came to the agenda late.
Okay, so once again, if we can just accept it on the agenda, the issue is, as everyone knows, the budget is due 2 months earlier this year, and as everyone also knows, we have specific larger problems we've had in the past. And it was pointed out by, I believe, Mr. Stefanini at the recent finance meeting between the school department and us, that we could, by our vote and agreement of the mayor, extend that time and by declaring a budget emergency for the purposes of extending the period of time. The proposal from the Finance Subcommittee, which I'll let Mr. Aviani speak to if he wants to, is that we do it for 30 days. And the reason that's important to be voted today is because the school department has to vote their budget tomorrow night otherwise, and they would like a little bit more time. So, Mr. Aviani.
No, well said, Mr. Chair, and that's why we need to do it, so that tomorrow night Ms. Bonhill and her committee knows what our vote was, so they can do what they need to do.
So essentially, the charter said everything, the new charter said everything back 60 days. This will take half of that away and move it forward 30 days from here. It'll still be 30 days earlier than it has been in the past, unless we declare another emergency, I guess. So the motion would be by Mr. Ottaviani to institute budget emergency for the purpose of delaying the budget process and all aspects of the budget process by 30 days.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Ottaviani, seconded by Ms. Feeney. Yeah. Ready? Go ahead.
To who?
So I just want to say that I delved into the calendar, to the schedule a little bit, looking at how, if it was adjusted by 30 days. And so I apologize for not presenting that here. I had thought to have it on this finance meeting on Thursday, but I guess I'll say that the way I see this is that we would vote on the budget on May 19th. So like Councilor King said, it would be a month earlier than in previous years. I think pushing this 30 days makes a lot of sense. And one piece is that I would propose within it that the change to the city council schedule, we had added an additional meeting on April 14th, and I would say that so there's a council meeting that we should change that meeting to April 28th. So ultimately, when we get to calendaring what the implications of this timeline kick would be.
So what do you want to do with the schedule?
April 14th is currently a city council meeting.
Yes.
I would like to change that and move that to April 28th.
Mr. King.
So hold on for a second. So just for clarity, as of now, we're meeting our regular dates and a special meeting the 14th of April because we were anticipating that to be part of the budget consideration process time. Mr. Ottaviani.
That is correct, yeah. Ms. Malik, I heard her and Council Stefanini talking earlier, and I didn't see any of this. So the council subcommittee should be discussing this, what we're going to put on our agenda, what we're going to do. So I haven't seen this. So hopefully she emails me. She emailed some other people, but I didn't get it.
So instead of amending the motion for now, could we just put that kind of aside, let the finance subcommittee discuss it?
Yeah.
That's who should be discussing it.
With a more broad proposal.
I agree.
Okay. Ms. Bryant.
Yeah, actually, I would like to, but I won't, but I agree with her, and I think it would be good to just go ahead and make the change to the 28th, amended to the 28th. But the only comment I have in general is that when in discussing the charter updates, and the proposal came in, the question loomed large. Will it be practical? Like, will it be able to be done practically? So while obviously I'm going to vote yes on this, and we have no choice, we're going to extend, but I think we just need to be watching like how it goes this year and next year to see, and keep it watching so that when it comes up again, or whether it ends up being feasible eventually or really not feasible at all, and whether we will need to go back to alter the deadline dates eventually in a couple years or so.
Right, I think that's a good point, because I think overall, it may be feasible, and this is my personal opinion, it may be feasible, but I'm not quite sure why we did change this. I don't really understand why it was changed, because one of the things we talked about when we became a city, and I think it has worked out for the most part, is it gave us that flexibility to be able to pivot and to just, be flexible and vote our budget as late as mid-June, or even late June. I think one year in the prior administration, we might have voted it like the 28th of June. So that's not ideal, obviously, but I think it worked out well, and I think we probably did not pay as much attention to that as we should have when we went through the process of charter amendment, and I take some personal responsibility for that myself. Anything else? Okay. Mr. Stefanini.
I would just because of the language in Article 6, just ask the mayor to weigh in as to whether or not this is an emergency, because it says that the council shall consult the mayor.
Mayor says yes.
The other day, but he said
I just wanted to put that on the record.
No, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Seeing none, so the motion would be to declare the budget emergency, adding 30 days to the calendar for the budget. Mr. Alexander.
I say yes.
Mr. Ottaviani.
Yes.
Ms. Malik.
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini. Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Leon Bruno.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Ms. Feeney.
Yes.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Okay, that is a unanimous agreement, so 30 extra days. All right, next, request of Finance Subcommittee report and recommendation regarding consideration of an appropriation of affordable housing funds. Second.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Stefanini.
This is a matter from our last session, and under our charter, we do not carry things from one session to the next, so I would suggest that rather than this being a vote, we refer this matter to the Finance Subcommittee.
Second.
Mr. Sakis, is there any issue with this if we do that?
Wasn't the first vote this council?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was hoping I could get a vote tonight. We've started the process. I know this is the second reading, and this did go before subcommittee.
Did not. Not in this council session.
Right.
Oh, in this council session.
Things do not carry from one 2-year session to the next 2-year session.
We traditionally, I agree, have not carried things, but is there a legal prohibition to it?
Well, we carried the 2 zoning changes from the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee that are going to the Planning Board tomorrow night, or whatever night it is.
No, we didn't. They were refiled.
No, we didn't. We reintroduced them.
We reintroduced
Never
them.
had a Planning and Zoning Subcommittee. How'd we do that?
No, they were reintroduced, and the council voted to send them out.
So what if we don't? This goes back to the process. It's going to be late March before you get your 2 votes.
Mr. Chairman, it's
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
I can wait till the 17th.
It's going to be more than the 17th, though. It's going to be, they're not going to be able to be voted till 17th and then the 3rd of March, so that's the earliest it's going to be.
No, I can't wait that long.
Well, you may have no choice, but
Is there any way we could call a meeting before the 17th, have a one-item agenda?
There is a way to deal with it. It has to go to the Finance Committee under the charter, but there is a provision that says you can pass it in one setting if we declare it as an emergency.
So
we could put an emergency
so
proviso on it.
what's the emergency?
So,
Think of one.
so, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So these were gift funds that were given to the city for affordable housing purposes. So does that have a different, no, Mr. Stephanie's shaking his head.
Well,
I'm sorry,
it may have it may have a difference as far as how many votes it needs. It may have a difference there. But the issue here being brought up is this issue has not been considered by this council subcommittee. That's the issue right now, not how many votes it needs right now.
So,
we'll have it back on the 17th. Hopefully, we'll be able to accommodate you that evening, okay?
yep, thank you.
Okay, so that will be referred to the Finance Subcommittee unless anybody has an objection. Okay. Upon request of Councilor Stefanini, a referral to the Rules, Ordinance, and Ethics Subcommittee. He didn't request that committee. I just put that in there, given the nature. Consideration of an ordinance to designate certain officials as special municipal employees. Mr. Stefanini, would you like to say anything about this?
We discussed this at one of the mayor's reports early on. It was one of the recommendations in Article 10, Section 7 of the charter. It gives the mayor the ability for someone to be appointed. So if you serve on the Cultural Council, you cannot be an attorney doing work before the zoning board or before any other committee in the city. And that restriction in the ethics law makes sense for the council, for the zoning board, the planning board, but for a lot of the committees, it doesn't make sense to take and say someone's professional livelihood cannot be maintained, and a lot of communities designate those other boards. I'd be curious as to the appointment subcommittee and the CPO's thoughts on this, but I mean, I filed it so we would have a conversation on it. If the mayor doesn't think it's necessary, then I wouldn't be inclined to push it, but I do think it's worthy of a conversation because some of those lesser offices, they are walking into it. We had a situation on the zoning board where an architect was doing something that was clearly a conflict, but if that architect had been on the cultural council, it would have been just the same conflict. That's the way the ethics laws work. So this gives us the ability to take those people out of that. We're not voting on it tonight. We're just sending it to the committee to explore it and to have a conversation.
Okay. Is there any objection to sending it to the committee? Seeing none, it will be referred. Okay, next, Councilor Stefanini, referral to the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee, considering of an ordinance to create neighborhood impact advisory groups for large projects.
So several communities do something just like this. They have passed zoning bylaws that enable them to do this. It needs some work because it's a first draft, but the idea is to start a conversation. In the communities that do this, it does not impact economic development at all. In fact, it aids it because it forces a conversation between people in the neighborhoods and a developer early in the process, not with any restrictions or requirements, just to have a conversation. The group is appointed by the mayor. The mayor maintains control of the conversation. It's with input from the councilors in the area, the state reps, et cetera, which is what other communities do. It's, I think, a toolbox, and it is very similar, not quite identical to what Mr. Ottaviani filed at the end of the last session. And because of our 2-year period, it gets sent over. And so I'd ask that we send it to the P&Z for further discussion.
Yeah, I would make an objection to that.
Ms. Long, is that you asking to be recognized?
Yes, yes,
Ms.
please. Yeah, so I have an objection to that because I reviewed that, both of this and the next item on this agenda, and they both have legal issues that if Counselor Stephanie does not want to withdraw them, then I would make a motion that these get referred to the city solicitor for review for legal issues that seem to conflict with state law.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Stephanie.
They're not perfect. They're ideas, and the idea, I don't want to stifle conversation, I don't want to stifle creativity, because we're trying to adopt and propose something that is perfect in the first, let me finish. In the first instance, if we're going to figure out how to do zoning, we need to be less rigid and more collaborative. And I would say to you, if you have questions as the chair of that subcommittee, enlist the solicitor, get an opinion, figure it out, and if it doesn't make sense, propose that it be rejected or keep it in committee. All I'm asking is that you look at an idea at this point, not a legal framework for adopting something, but that we look at it, and the concept here is when we have a large project in a neighborhood, in an area, 50,000 square feet or more. So let's take a look at Shoppers World or Pinefield or Knobscott, for example. When those big projects come up, it says we will have a neighborhood group that can help thrash through the issues. At least 2 communities that I'm aware of, and I've done as an attorney, maybe 100 projects under things like this. They are so helpful because it forces everyone in a community to talk about the issues rather than just ignore them until they get to the council, and then all you do is have people throwing hand grenades at each other. We have to have conversation. So I don't disagree with you, bless you, in terms of review. If you want to send this to the solicitor, when it gets to your subcommittee, send it to the solicitor. I'm just asking that you look at the idea of large projects getting a greater say in a neighborhood.
I understand that, but I feel personally, after reviewing this, that it's not a valuable use of the subcommittee's time without it being reviewed first by the solicitor, because I do not think there's so many items in this. If you review the memo I sent out, there's nothing in this that meets muster of zoning 40A. It violates it everywhere. So
I don't agree with that.
All right,
Mr. King?
so, hold
So
on.
I did make a motion to refer this simply to the city solicitor.
I'll second that.
All right. Mr. Ottaviani.
I was going to say, I know Council Long said a lot of time. If it's referred, the first order of business, we can just send it to the city solicitor. It'd take about 2.5 minutes. And it goes right to the city solicitor, but at least instead of you sending it to the city solicitor, let Council Long send it to the city solicitor. I don't see a problem with that. It's going to get to the city solicitor one way or the other. And it won't take up that much time at P&Z. There's 3 of us, me, Mrs. Lee, and Bruno, and Council Long is probably going to be the chair again. 7 years.
And no district non-representation.
Yeah, just to, I don't have a problem with having the subcommittee. I think one way or another, whatever the mechanics, getting the city solicitor to weigh in on the concept. Now, I'm not squabbling over the specific language. The concern that I have about ideas like this, and I only mention it now so it can be worked out when it's discussed, is anytime you have, and this has nothing to do with the current mayor or any specific elected official, but when you appoint, when an elected official is the person that is putting together a neighborhood group, the folks that are that are supposed to be looking out for the neighborhood, there's an inherent conflict there because it gives a false, I think, level of comfort to a neighborhood, maybe not realizing that these were people that were handpicked by the mayor, and the mayor is not going to put somebody on that neighborhood group who is not in favor of a particular project. Like, I'd be curious what those other communities are, if they're at or similar size, similar demography, like Framingham, but that can all be, worked out in some of the discussion. And the recitals in the document I would take the, for lack of a better phrase, the emotion out of that. Developers taking advantage of loopholes and the unimaginable and things like that. I mean, I would wager those projects that are cited are consistent with the zoning. If there's the issue, let's fix the zoning. I think there's an appetite to do that. We've done very little of it. But I get nervous anytime someone wants to put, I'd have the same concern if the city council were putting together a group of the find better ways for the neighborhood to have a voice, all for it, and hopefully that can be the product of whatever comes, if this goes for further discussion.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman, can I respond?
Wait a second. Ms. Bryant, then Mr. Alexander, then Mr.
Well, actually, I'll waive
No, you
to
won't. You can talk
response
now
to
or
Counselor.
not. Tracy, your hand was up, you called on, do you want to speak
Okay,
now?
then, okay. Then thank you, Chair. I wanted to say that I do want, I am concerned I would like the city solicitor to get into the details, right, of it, not just the concept, okay? Because ultimately what we want to know from her is the legalities and things like that. We can discuss the concepts too, or both, right, to weigh in on both. But I will say that the language, unimaginable, all that, it was beautiful. It you know, it kind of lets you know right away there was a problem with this, and then you get the details of it. But having said that, I definitely agree with Counselor, in the final version, if we had one, obviously that would need to be taken out because it's like biased language kind of, that kind of thing. But for us to see it, it kind of sets the tone of why he has put forth this ordinance. I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander?
All right. I see, I mean, I guess looking at it in a historical context, in a brief historical context, all the issues that we've had of late regarding zoning and in regards to the MBTA Communities Act and whatnot. So I understand, I guess, the basis of this is to have, some input and some forewarning and some mechanisms involved to deal with things of this nature. But there is such a thing sometimes as like too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. So that's part of my concern with this, is that we're adding another layer which has this well intent, but I often wonder about the unintended consequences of certain things like this, things can get kind of ugly pretty quickly, even though the intent was not to do that. So I feel that there's some caution here, some serious caution. So this needs to be looked at like in a more serious manner. I don't like the way, I just don't like the setup. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Stefanini, then Ms. Feeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just make this very simple. This isn't about a legal discussion. If we don't like the idea of neighborhoods having say in discussion, then refer it to legal things and get it stuck in snafus and everything else. If you want to explore the idea of neighborhoods having a conversation in this, and I will tell you in at least 2 communities, in zoning ordinances approved by the Attorney General, this saves time because it has a conversation. And I'm sorry if this is a sore subject because I wasn't here and I was here on that side of the room, but do we need a better example than what just happened over the last year in Knobscott? If the developer had consulted the neighborhood group and had real neighborhood conversations with all the stakeholders, those meetings would have been ugly to begin with, but they would have resulted in something. Either a clear indication of opposition or concern, or it would have defined it. And to Mr. Cannon's point, this sets it up so that the mayor is convening this group of people, but it's soliciting input from the councilors involved, the state reps involved, the the local business groups, the local neighborhood groups, and they're all nominating people. So the mayor is appointing whoever is being nominated or people. So this is a broad-based group of people. It's an attempt to, one, ensure that on large projects, neighborhoods are involved up front. Number two, it's an attempt to advance economic development in the city. And number three, we haven't been able to do zoning. We have to take some of the impediments. If we can't be creative, if we can't be pushing something along to get an idea moving, if it has to be perfect by the time it gets to the subcommittee, then we will not do anything.
Can I just say something on this, please?
No, not yet. Ms. Feeney?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We just had a neighborhood
Yes, yeah.
come here this evening with complaints about a developer that is not being transparent, that hasn't been honest. Like, how many more times, and I get I'm the new kid, but how many more times are we all willing to sit here to have neighborhoods come here who are not happy because the developer has ignored them, because a project is coming and they don't know what's happening in the truth? People want to collaborate. They want things that make sense. Every neighborhood is different and unique. We've got to start honoring that. There are certain neighborhoods that have more clout than others, and they certainly use it to get certain, and this is nothing against them, I think it's good. I had a community meeting on Saturday morning. I have not talked to anybody about this ordinance. I have not sent it to anybody, but the people who came to my little chat knew about it, and they were thrilled, because they want to be more involved. So also, this is why we have subcommittees, to knock this stuff out and to talk about it and to debate it and to get people more involved in this process. I think, if we want to have the city solicitor to look at it, she looks at pretty much everything, so this isn't out of the ordinary. But communities and the neighborhoods are dying for this ability to just have their voice heard. People want their voice heard, and we will make things a lot easier for ourselves and for the city if we would just listen. Thank you.
Ms. Bruno?
Thanks. So I don't think this is about not wanting to listen to the neighbors, because I don't think that's where my concern is. We just went through, the last few months of trying to do the special permitting for this body. And we met many times through the subcommittee, and I thought it was going to pass, and I thought it was a good idea. I think that we had concerns with size, and I think that was sort of some of the sticking points with some of it, and then ultimately it just, it didn't pass. And I think that part of the concern was a lot of the people, part of the reason a lot of people wanted it was so we could be the, as the elected city councilors, the ones that are elected by the neighbors, to be the ones here that can get that look at it. And I guess we didn't trust ourselves to be able to do that. And it's not that I don't trust a neighborhood group, but I would be more for having us be the oversight or the added, look, as opposed to a handpicked mayoral, I guess, committee that is going to put the onus on the mayor, which then, to the other points that were brought up, by some of the other counselors, present its own problems. But I don't honestly think this is to not want to listen to the neighbors at all. I don't think that, to me, the not thinking that this is the route to go is not wanting to listen to the neighbors. I just think that we had a chance to do this, and we were really close, and we could have really made an impact on it, and yet we failed to do that.
Ms. Bellick?
Thank you. So I do think this is a valuable conversation. Something that I thought about when I read the ordinance that hasn't been brought up is not just new developments, but I look at something like the community center, and that's going to have a large impact, right, on the neighborhood around the community center. But as currently written, which I understand is up for discussion, that wouldn't necessarily qualify as an impact advisory group. So maybe that's just something to think about as what qualifies, like if it's not new construction, but it's a renovation that's going to have a big community impact. So just kind of thinking through that a little bit as this conversation continues, which I think it is worth continuing. Maybe before referring it, maybe it is for us to, as a full council, talk more at some point about what the priorities for neighborhood groups would be. I don't know, just another thought. I think there's value to it for just beyond just new development.
Ms. Long now, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you. So Councilor Liam Bruno actually said a lot of what I said. There was a missed opportunity. If their neighborhood loudly said they wanted us to oversight projects, and this council rejected that idea. My concern with this has nothing to do with being not interested in the neighborhoods. As a former longtime planning board member and chairman, and also a longtime member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, who's been through multiple years of listening to neighbors, I have no problem with that. And I have no problem, that's not the issue here. The issue here is you're violating how state law is set up about site plan review, how the process of zoning operates. And by inserting mandated reviews and all this other stuff into this, you're violating state law, and that is a legal issue. It's a conflict of state law. You can't supersede state law on a local level. You can't make up your own rules.
Point of
if
information.
Excuse me,
Let
Ms.
me
Long.
finish.
Excuse me,
If they're
Ms.
not-
Long. Ms. Long, excuse me for a second on point of information. Mr. Stephanie.
What state law is it in conflict with specifically?
Chapter 48, Mass General Law, Chapter 48. It's in
What
conflict.
section?
Okay, so
So that is my problem with this, and my battery is running low. So it's not that I have a problem with neighborhood, and there's also a section in zoning ordinances that requires developers, when they come in that they're required to have a neighborhood meeting. So I just think this is overkill. I think that the planning board is the place for them to go for public hearings if there's a planning board development, and if it's a ZBA, if it's a friendly 40B or whatever on the ZBA, they go to the ZBA. But the city council clearly didn't want to have that function, and why would you give that away to volunteers that don't represent the city as an official? So this makes no sense to me from so many positions. I feel the pain of the neighborhood because I've heard it from my neighborhood, from every neighborhood in Framingham. I totally understand it, but there is already a clear process in place. And to insert the mayor, and this is nothing against the mayor personally, but from an executive to be inserted as giving function to over two quasi-judicial boards, that's wrong. So I have so many objections to this, and it's, like I said, I have no problem with neighborhood groups or any of that, but this isn't the way to do it. And anyway, so that's all I have on this. So I still think it should just get referred to the city solicitor.
Mr.
I did make
Ottaviani.
that motion.
It was already made and seconded. Mr. Ottaviani.
I have some of those concerns for the next item that he's referring because of just some size numbers and different things. But on this here, the neighborhood groups, look at the Copenville Tripoli neighborhood group, okay? That wasn't picked by the mayor. That's a neighborhood thriving, boom, and they get things done and they go to meetings. People can go to meetings. They can go to the planning board, they can go to the zoning board and these different things. The last friendly 40B that ever came to the city was the Shulman House. And that's a huge building. It's probably the nicest building up there. We got a lot of grief from the housing authority because it was going to be direct competition, but we voted that when I was on the zoning board. But those are the same people that want to fight any kind of development up in that neighborhood. It's crazy what goes on in the city. But to get more input from the neighbors, if we refer it to planning and zoning, first order of business, you kick it to the city solicitor and let her look at it if you want. But I think I'm all for listening. And Councilor King, every time he says it, the 15 minutes, I'm over here, I cringe because I broke that all the time and I apologize. But I'd rather be criticized for letting people talk and say what they had to say. There's no more proactive counselors than Councilor Liam Bruno and myself. We met, I'm not even their counselor anymore. Joe Bonanno, Dave Abramson, we met with them 6 times if we met with them once, before, after, and during. And that phone rings, the emails call, they can you come by? And we did it. And Noble was in his hiatus. I kept him informed because he was the district counselor, and we kept him in the loop what was going on. And I have no problem meeting with people, talking to neighbors, going into their homes, having them come to my home. I open my home up all the time for people. It just, I think the more the merrier, to be honest with you. If somebody's got something to say, and they can come here. And the Special Permit Granting Authority, it might have been a missed opportunity, but there were some councils that felt very strongly against it. And then we went from a 9-2 vote, just to refresh everybody's memory, to a 5-5-1 vote, okay? And I changed my vote. You want to talk about campaign donations, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. You know what? Leave it alone. Let the planning board, let the zoning board do their jobs. And you know what? I was comfortable with those people doing their job in the end, because I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, I've been a 40-year member of Local 609. I can't take a contribution from the laborers union, and I advocate for them all the time. The carpenters union, I'm not a carpenter, and I'm surely not a laborer anymore, but I advocate for those people. They're our friends. And, you know, I made the statement before. I take donations from everybody that wants to contribute to a campaign, and I don't want to get into it, but that was the reason, one of the reasons I changed my mind. There were more than one reason, but Councilor Malik made a wonderful point about it. Councilor Cannon made good points, and in the end, they convinced 4 people to change their minds. So guess what? I don't know. It is what it is, what I would say.
Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it was unfortunate that it was implied that the council doesn't want to foster discussion or listen to the community. I know everybody here. I've known everybody here for years, even those with whom I disagree most often. I see as very proactive and welcoming of all kinds of discussion. So I think that was disappointing. I think there's also sometimes a default position of, there's a problem, let's create a committee, and that'll solve everything. And I'm not saying that, it's a little tongue-in-cheek there, but I'm a nudge when it comes to process, and I think there is value in having the city solicitor look at this before a subcommittee gets too deep in the weeds, because I'd like to know what the guardrails are. And if I think the reference that was made to the folks that were here earlier, I agree that they want to be heard, but even if this neighborhood group had existed, I think it would have given them a bit of false hope, and also inconsistent with the goal that if it's a Dover Amendment project, there's very little that anybody can do about it. So I don't know that that fulfills the articulated need here. And I would say that the other piece is the Knobscot, and I'm not worried about, I'm genuinely not concerned about the current mayor. I think about ordinances when they're passed about 10 mayors from now and 10 councils from now, because these ordinances, once they're in, they should last. But I could foresee a situation like that where there's a very controversial project where the mayor at the time of the day is in favor of, but the community, the neighbors, the residents are not. And if it is being positioned to the residents that here's this neighborhood group that ultimately are political appointees, I just see problems with that. But if I'm a resident, aside from that, well, now I got to go to this neighborhood group, and I got to go to the planning board, and I got to go to the zoning board, and I got to talk. I just want to understand the process of how much putting this in place accomplishes how much more for the residents who we want to make it easier for them to participate in a process that belongs to them. So I think it is, I would support a motion to refer to this to the city solicitor, get some guidance, and then so I would support that motion, and then get some guidance on where this goes from that.
Ms. Bryant, Mr. Stefanini.
All right, so I just want to clarify a few things. Though Councilor Cannon, you spoke so well and cleared up so many things I agree with. But I will just correct that developers did meet with the Knobscot group, and that is usually there are interested parties, and they either come to planning board meetings or the district councilor has had a meeting. The developers did meet with them, but let's be honest. There are things that they're not going to, that's not going to end often. It does not end in some unity of ideas, right? Where they do end up just from talking, agreeing. Sometimes it is diametrically opposed, what the residents want and what the developer wants, right? And I'm a firm believer in mediation and eventually a win-win, and eventually we could get there, and that's all good. But the residents were heard, but we always do like to listen and hear more. With what the Sailormen residents are saying, they got to come, they got to speak, and to the special, the city council being a special granting authority, yes, Councilor Lillian Bruno spoke very well, and they did want the city council to be it. And but a lot of votes were changed because it was pure when it started, right? Way back, the idea was very clear and very simple, very, straightforward. And then as time went on, especially at the very end, it became convoluted with some of the things just thrown in there. It's like, okay, yes, we'll do that too. Yes. So it just became a little muddled. And I think it made some of us say, okay, we got to pull it back a little, tread carefully. We wanted it to be the pure single issue of special granting authority that it started out to be. As to, I want to also point out that it's not the current neighborhood groups that would be, well, actually probably some of them, the very strong neighborhood groups, probably would end up being the neighborhood impact advisory groups also. I do agree. I don't want, I think everybody needs, what is it, the division of power? So where I don't want the mayor picking everybody for it. And frankly, my district, committees, I love committees. If they're interested in something, when they bring an issue to me, even before I was, there was a city and a council, way back, right? Organized, group, committees, let's do this and that. But the people work a lot. And then there's others that have medical issues, this and that, or whatever. And the answer consistently, once we became a city, and even before that, to me, was always, well, that's why we're telling you. I can't go to that meeting. I can't do that. I don't want to speak to that meeting. But we're telling you, and that's what we, that's why we voted for you when we became a city, and that's why we always pushed you to be a representative, for you to go and, convey. And we've brought, the interested party to them. Sometimes you can get a meeting going about something, but it has to fit in with their lives. And the same, so these neighborhood groups, you'd have another group. A whole nother group, the Neighborhood Impact Advisory Group. There's a lot to consider. The motive and is very, very, very good, but of course details and a lot of consideration does need to go into it. I am fine with us having the city solicitor review it first, or have it go to planning board and. Still,
Okay, thank you.
we would have the city solicitor be looking at it, and we would be having residents discuss. But Councilor Cannon made a good point, so that people don't imagine things possible that aren't. Maybe we should have it go to the city solicitor first.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stefanini, then Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I realize there are all kinds of complex issues around delegating authority and trust and authority that play into this, and maybe this plays into a festering wound that we otherwise are not dealing with. But I would make an observation and a motion.
There's already a motion on the table.
I'm going to make another motion.
Well, it's the motion, we got to deal with the first motion first.
You can make more than one motion at a time, Mr. Chairman.
Well,
No, the first one's not mine.
it's not. No, it was moved by, I didn't hear any motion.
So
I feel the same way.
what I would say is the following, is if this is the standard we're going to use to litigate ideas on zoning, then we will not in this session pass any zoning. We need to get beyond the point of everything is a wound from yesterday that we have to poke and put a little salt in. This is about an idea that applies to at least 3 or 4 serious conflicts that have gone on in our community, and a potential way to deal with it. Maybe it isn't the right way. Maybe it isn't the right people. The most exhaustive process we have is the zoning process. It goes to a subcommittee, it comes back to us, it goes to the planning board, it comes back to us, it goes to a subcommittee, it goes to the solicitor. So to knock it down at the idea stage is to say you don't like the idea. So everyone can say what they want and look at it. We got to come to grips with the fact we either want our neighborhood groups, Saxonville, Pheasant Hill, Coburnville, whatever, to have a say in this. Our council is to appoint people and to get people involved, or we don't. And this is a simple concept. With that, I would move that we refer this.
You cannot make it, there's a main motion on the table. You only can make like an amendment or something like that, or something that overrides it. You can.
So I would make a motion that prior to this going to the city solicitor, that it go first to the subcommittee, and that the subcommittee then refer it to the solicitor.
Right, that would be out of order. That motion is not accepted.
So tell me what motion you would allow in this instance, Mr. Chairman.
I can't really think of one because it's a pretty straightforward refer to the city solicitor. So right now, you could amend that motion, I guess, but I don't know how you.
So I would amend the motion, which is to refer this to the city solicitor by deleting the word solicitor and inserting in place thereof subcommittee on planning and zoning.
Point of order.
Go ahead with the point of order before I rule on that.
Could we, I thought that.
What's the point of order, Ms. Bryant?
The point of order is, I think we need to have the council secretary read back what the first
The first
requested
motion is
was.
to refer it to the city solicitor.
Councilor Stefanini, when he discussed it in the first place, didn't he make a motion to?
He did not make a motion.
Send it to the, no?
He did not make a motion, thank you.
Okay,
I will
thank
not
you.
accept the amendment because it's contrary to the main motion. It doesn't amend it, it totally changes it.
Refers it to a different place.
Right, it totally changes the purpose. Not going to accept it. You'll have the opportunity to make the motion after, but right
Point of
now.
parliamentary inquiry?
Go ahead.
I mean, if our meetings are going to deteriorate into parliamentary inquiry over a simple referral, then we're going to have a hard time getting business done. This is not Robert's Rules of Order. And so you can take and you can rule however you like, but motions can be amended.
They can be amended, but they can't be amended to get rid of what the main motion is. You can't amend it's not proper to amend the motion that does exactly the opposite thing. So
It's not the opposite thing. It is referring it to a different place. So if you had made a motion to refer it to the subcommittee on planning and zoning, and I offered a motion to then refer it to the subcommittee on rules, that would be a motion that would be out of order in this.
No, that's not true. That would be acceptable. But the motion to move it to the city solicitor is essentially a motion not to move forward with it, consideration by the council at this time. Therefore, a motion to refer, an amendment to refer it to a council subcommittee, amending that motion is contrary to what the initial motion is.
So who is the subcommittee, who is the solicitor going to report back to?
The city council.
So the city council is advancing the process, just through a different avenue.
Yeah.
You're inconsistent with your own logic.
Thank you. Ms. Long, did you say something?
Yeah, no, it's just, this isn't about trying to stop zoning. This isn't about, it's about process. It's
Okay, I just wanted to see- I thought you
This is
had
an
a-
unusual situation.
Okay. All right.
Can we?
Does anybody else have anything new?
Question?
Does anybody else have anything new? Seeing none. Mr. Ward, I'm sorry, I forgot that you had, okay. Seeing none, I will take a motion on, let's take a vote, she was getting late. I will take a vote on the motion to refer to the city solicitor. So right now, that's the motion, starting with Mr. Ottaviani.
Why doesn't it just go to the planning and zoning committee and then send it to the solicitor? What's the problem with that?
There's not a problem with that, but that's not what the motion is.
It's going to be the same end result. Yeah, I'm going to vote no.
So either way,
Either way, it's
Ms.
going to end up in the
Bryan,
same place.
please.
sorry, I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
It's late.
It is. Briefly, I'm sorry, I did forget you.
I know.
Very briefly, please.
So I have read through all of this, and the one thing that stuck out to me was I kind of refer to this as the developer of the good neighbor ordinance. I truly believe that if people own a piece of property, they should be able to develop it, but they have the responsibility of being a good neighbor. And to me, a lot of the things that go wrong with projects in Framingham is the rumor mill, the drama, people not knowing what the intent of a project is. So the first thing that stuck out to me was the process starts with a letter of intent. And I think that a lot of the drama can be avoided if we do follow part of this process. Now, maybe some of this process doesn't make it through review, doesn't make it through the solicitor who will report off to the planning. But I really think that,
Given the hour, the
yeah,
issue.
I understand that.
The
but
issue here is.
I've waited to actually
I know
talk
you
about
have, and I
this. So-
appreciate that.
And
but
I'm
the-
going to, I'll be
But the
brief.
issue here is where we're referring it to. That's really
I
the
understand
issue.
that, but I think it
So-
needs to go, and I think it needs to stay on the radar, because so many things have fallen off the radar.
So can you direct your comments to where it should be referred to then?
I think it should, if there are legal issues, go to the city solicitor, but I would like to amend the motion if I can, which I can't, but that the city solicitor is required to report to the planning committee, and that the planning committee would then subsequently have to make adjustments and then report back to this council, because I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle like a lot of things do. And this is why neighbors get frustrated, and this is why people are so concerned about what's going on in Framingham.
So I think the point there at the end is well taken. I do not think there can be an amendment right now, as the reasons I stated. I also don't see, frankly, why both motions could not eventually be made. In other words, once this motion is disposed, however it went, the subject matter of the, would still allow for a referral.
I would say it's disposed of.
Well, you could argue that. I'm in between on that.
Would you accept a
Well,
different amendment?
Maybe.
Friendly amendment.
I would move that the amendment be amended to do just what you just said, that this matter be referred to the city solicitor, and that the city solicitor, within a period of 2 weeks, report and refer the matter to the Planning and Zoning Committee for their review, and for them to review and report to the council.
Second.
I will accept that amendment, because I think it is in line with the referral to the city solicitor. I'm sorry. Well, I told you.
This new system of yours, yeah,
new
work your
system.
kinks out, yeah, sucks.
The kinks are worked out.
Oh, yeah, they work, we'll see.
Compromise.
Clarify.
All right, so, no, yes,
Shoot the
so
gun.
can you just restate the amendment, please?
The amendment would be, if it's accepted as a friendly amendment, that we refer this matter to the city solicitor, and for the city solicitor to in turn report to the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee, and the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee in turn to report back to the council with its recommendations regarding this ordinance.
So the amendment is that the city solicitor report its findings to the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee. I think that's enough, because the Planning and Zoning Committee has to report back to the city council.
No, I'd
Fine,
like
but
to include all that so that it's clear.
Well, it's already been referred to the city solicitor. So the amendment to the motion to refer to the city solicitor is that the city solicitor report to the subcommittee, which then reports to the council, right?
Correct.
I think it's redundant to add the part reporting to the council, but fine. Is that acceptable to the mover?
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
Okay.
Counselor King or Counselor Stefanini, originally you'd mentioned that that would happen within 2 weeks. Is that part of the motion or no?
Yes.
Can we go
Yes.
30 days on that?
30 days,
Yeah.
given we're
It's
doing the
not gonna get
budget.
done. We got our first meeting next
Right,
week.
so we have 30 days. So, okay, so the motion has been accepted, so it's a friendly amendment. Mr. Ottaviani,
Yes.
Ms. Malik,
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini.
Yes.
Ms. Bryant,
Yes.
myself, yes. Ms. Lean Bruno.
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Ms. Feeney,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Item 8, upon request, Council.
Do you need a motion to
Motion to
new
extend past
business?
10 PM,
Oh, we
Mr. Chairman.
do, thank you.
Well, past 10.
Yes, it is. It's getting pretty close to the witching hour of 11. But anyways, okay, so moved by Ms. Lean
Second.
Bruno, second by Ms. Cannon. Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
All those in favor, Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Lean
Yes.
Bruno? Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Mr. Cannon is still yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Very long one, yes.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Stephanie?
You don't want to vote for District 6, but that's okay.
What?
You don't want to vote from District 6?
I didn't call you?
No. I'm last this time. I went from first to last.
That's right, I had you still highlighted, so therefore I thought I already called you.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It's late, Mr. Fabiani. It's very
No,
late.
well, don't forget, you're in Massachusetts now.
Mr. Chairman,
Go Pats all the way. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, Mr. Stephanie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this next piece, and I would start off first by making a motion that it be referred to the Committee on Planning and Zoning.
And I will
Second.
object to that once again.
Would you like to amend the motion?
motion.
Yes.
Excuse-
no,
wait a
I can
minute,
actually-
wait, we're not
would
going
I-
to get crazy here. What? So is there a point of order or anything like that? Okay, so
I'll
Mr.
make a point of order.
Mr. Stephanie, you just can't make a point of order, it has to be one. Mr. Stephanie has the floor. Ms. Long, you can have the.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I think folks are aware of the fact that our zoning bylaws do not have any upper limits in terms of the way we deal with houses. Many communities have done something similar to this. In fact, it's modeled on one in Wellesley, which was passed by Wellesley and adopted and approved by the Attorney General. So let's get all the legal questions out of the way. The Attorney General approved this, and there are other communities that have something similar to this. It has problems with it, and Mr. Ottaviani has spoken to me, and I agree with Mr. Ottaviani that it needs to be tweaked and fine-tuned, and maybe it deals with general residents. But I want to share with everyone something that the couple that is with us tonight, and I know some of you know Mark and Gail Monique, on the other side of Washacom Lake, where it is general zoning, and there are a lot of 5,000 or 8,000 square foot lots. In one of those 8,000 square foot lots, someone is building a 40-foot tall, 7,000 square foot house. Okay, no one in this building right here lives in a 7,000 square foot house. Some of us might be closer to that than others. Here we go. But we don't, 7,000 square feet in this neighborhood is the combination of most of the houses on that street. And it is a conscious effort by the developers to basically build an apartment building where enforcement will be an issue and they build something. Because there's no way you can finance a 7,000 square foot house in a neighborhood full of cottages otherwise. And the developer has started to call other neighbors in the neighborhood to buy their homes to do the same thing. So this is timely. In addition to that, one of the neighbors near there has put their house on the market and sold it. This is having an impact on an affordable neighborhood. So we want to keep affordable housing in Framingham. It's in the neighborhoods where we have smaller houses that have smaller lots that are there. We want to chase those people out by letting people come in and take advantage of what is a loophole in our zoning bylaw and do a 40-foot, 7,000 square foot house. Then, you know what? Shame on us. We're not standing up for affordability. We're not standing up for our neighborhoods. And I applied this across the city because it applies across the city in other areas. I'm fine if the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee wants to strip it down to general zoning. You want to switch it to an FAR requirement instead of this. All I want to do is I want to get this moving so the conversation starts happening so that this doesn't become an aberration.
Ms. Long, then Mr. Ottaviani.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I was simply going to say that your request, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, and there's a very simple remedy for this. It's called inserting a floor area ratio into the dimensional regulation chart that makes sense, and that would end that problem. You don't need a zoning ordinance that was drafted by another community in 2008. That would not pass the Attorney General's muster today because as of the last two or 3 years, we've got the ADU by right bylaw, we have small house by right bylaw, we have several other ordinances that the state mandates, including MBTA. So you can't supersede those zoning ordinances.
All of which have nothing to do with this.
Regardless of how this was crafted and when it was approved by the Attorney General. That was years ago, and the laws have changed. So I would be happy to, if you would withdraw this and suggest that we take this up and make a amendment to the Table of Dimensional Regulations, Section 435, Attachment 2,
So,
floor area ratio. And I did put that in that document that I sent over, because that will cure the problem of mansionization of houses. It wouldn't be allowed anymore. And that would be legally, it would be a legal remedy, rather than what you have presented.
So there's nothing that prohibits you from doing that through the committee. I would like to see the full subject matter discussed before the committee, and I'd like to see the point you made demonstrated that it works, more than sort of a thumbnail sketch. This bylaw in Wellesley is as legal today as it was in 2008. All the things you cited are totally irrelevant to this. And in fact, if it were illegal or inappropriate, that zoning bylaw would lose its full force and effect.
okay, Mr.
All I'm
Stephanie,
asking-
I allowed you to respond to her, but.
I'll stop.
Thank you. We have 13 minutes left before we absolutely have to stop mid-sentence, so just keep that in mind when people speak here, if we could do that. Mr. Aviani.
Yeah, I expressed my concerns to Council Stefanini only because we talk a good game about affordability, and nobody wants to hear it, especially on the other side of Route 9, that when you take 20,000 square foot lots and make them 1 acre zoning, and then everybody there has to come to the zoning board if they want to put a deck on their house that impedes because your setbacks went from 15 feet to 30 feet. So until we address density, you're not going to have affordable housing. When a house lot in Framingham in the general residence zone, a house lot goes for $315,000. Today it might even go for $400,000, okay? You're selling half of duplexes. I'm selling them on Kendall Avenue for $750,000, okay? There's no such thing as affordable housing. It sounds good, but it doesn't work. And he's right. But if you go up to Clark's Hill, and I'll give you an example. In his thing, he talks about a 3,800 square foot duplex. In my book, that doesn't work, because you go to Clark's Hill, they're 2,200 square feet, they have a 2-car garage, they're 4,400 square feet, but they're beautiful. It's a beautiful community. And I had that discussion with him, and he was pretty okay with it. But if you go look in the old Italian neighborhood, it's not the building sometimes that's the problem. It's the developer and the person putting the house up, like what happened in their neighborhood, okay? There was an issue on DeSoto, okay? Duplex was built, neighbors had some concern. The house was built into the hill. The neighbors, if you ask any of them, they love it. It's got a metal roof. It was built as if I was going to live there, okay? And it's not. I'm not living there. But when rents are $4,500 for use and occupancy for a half a duplex in Framingham, it's crazy. It's crazy. And there's no such thing as affordability. And he's right. A 7,000 square foot house in their neighborhood, I hate flat roofs. This thing's got a flat roof. It looks like the Buckley. And the Buckley looks good because what we had there before. But flat roofs don't belong in residential neighborhoods. That's just me. And that's just my opinion. That's personal taste. But I think the bylaw needs some work, but I agree that the floor area ratio, something will work, but there's no reason we can't debate the whole thing and figure it out, but it needs some tweaking, because that 3,800 square foot, my father's house is an R1 zone, an R1, which is 8,000 square foot lot. All those houses at Stonegate behind the stone wall on Salem Road are 8,000 square foot lots. Those houses go from 2,500 square feet to 5,000 square feet. And assess some of them for $1.4 million.
We're down to 11 minutes, Ms. Bryant.
2 minutes.
Quickly, all I would say is that I like the information that Councilor Long gave, but I think that it behooves her to accept. Have the plan, not to make it just say that, no, I don't want us, like the planning, it to go to planning and zoning unless he changes it. We take it into planning and zoning, we refer to planning and zoning as it is, and then I'm glad you gave us the arguments ahead of time what is wrong with it, but in planning and zoning, that is the opinion that you need to have come out to the council with, written up, and to say why this is not, why it can't be like this, and why it doesn't work. And also, I would just strongly urge Councilor Stefanini in order to validate these references to these other communities. In a couple of these ordinances that he's requesting, you referred to other communities where it's worked. Well, provide the documentation for that. I would have liked to have seen it in this, with this background material, but definitely to the subcommittee do it. So I would ask that we do send it to planning and zoning, but all of the arguments that Councilor Long made, I would like that to come to the council. But, I don't feel that he should have to change it now. I don't think that would be proper, because we're just going by hearsay at this point. Take it in and then,
Okay.
make the argument.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Anybody else? Okay, the motion is to refer it to the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee. Not all those in favor, excuse me. Back to my trustee list.
Yes.
Mr. Stefanini, yes, you're first. Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
No, we did that last time, and you were last, remember? Myself, yes. Ms. Liam Bruno?
Yes.
Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander? Mr. Aviani?
You may have fallen asleep.
Ms. Malik?
Yes.
So that's 10 in favor, and Mr. Alexander not responding. That's just about it, just a couple of very brief things before the council chair. I sent out the subcommittee, so could the senior person who's supposed to convene those subcommittees start to convene them so we have an organization? You got an email about the grand opening at Wonder, that's the new restaurant on Route 9. We're all invited. I think it's a week from Thursday at 4:30. Please respond to Marion by Friday if you would like to go to that. And I was going to talk about Keefe Tech, but I won't do that. I had the opportunity to represent the municipality at their meeting with the school building authority. It is quite a story that needs to be told. Maybe I'll tell it Thursday night at the Finance Subcommittee, at least to stop. But we need to be aware of it, given it's a very significant situation going forward for us, so.
TV, they would call that a tease, Mr.
Well, it's not a tease, but I mean, the bottom line is just, it's 10 minutes to 11. The bottom line is they're looking to expand the size of the school, and, the financing could be significant.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Ms. Bryant? Myself, yes. Ms. Liam Bruno?
Yes.
Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
I'm saying Longhorn, yes, and go
Mr.
Patriots.
Aviani? Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous.
And I did say yes.